And welcome back to ScavTalk, everyone. Today's episode, we got a lot to cover. Patch 14.5 is ready to go, installed. Brand new notes we're going to be going over. Then we got some arena screenshots for the newest map, and then also an update for arena as well. We'll be discussing tons of information. Followed by, we'll be discussing some boss hunting that Giga is looking into. And then from there, we'll kind of just do our usual ramblings about various other topics. So, I can't believe, I just gotta say right off the bat, I just can't believe the patch notes when I saw them. And the like, I'm just gonna say the obvious, the ammo stats are in the game, Giga.
Yeah, it's something people have been asking for forever. We finally have it in there, and it's actually done in a nice way. I mean, it's not that complicated, but people thought that they were going. People have been asking for damage and pen on the bullets for a long time, and then they put in damage and pen, and also, oh, I've got the echo going on. Whoops, sorry. And then, but basically, we've got the extra addition to that, which is that you pretty much get like it's not exactly the same, but you get like no foods grid of ammo efficacy or whatever alongside it, which is amazing as to whether it's good against different classes of armor. And I think it's like rather than being because NoFam's one is like multi-shot, whether it broadly speaking, how quickly you're going to get through class 5 armor, class 6 armor, whatever. And I think theirs is more naive, like first shot pen, which is normally what I talk about, to be honest. So I don't think it's necessarily like both of them are sort of misleading in their own ways.
Sure.
So like you have to sort of understand the system to really know. But I think as a starting point, it's fine.
Absolutely, yeah.
Either which way you decide to do it. And I had a quick look through. It pretty much just goes in line as you would expect. Let me just pull up my notes actually, given that we're talking about it, because I went through and I was like, oh, I wonder if they've done it in like any like strange way that needs like a bit of analyzing or whatever. But it doesn't really seem to. So everything up to 12 pen has got very low on class 2, for example. And then 13 pen is low on class 2. 15 pen is low. 16 and 17 are medium. Then 19 is high. And if you got to 23, it's like very high. So it's like around those thresholds is where you normally expect to see those changes. So like 35 pen is low against class 4. 36 is medium. And then you jump up to 40, which is like very high. And you've got like high in between at like 38 or whatever. So like it's about, it's the way it should be. It represents it, I think, in a fine way. So I'm very pleased that they've done this. I mean, this is an ongoing trend, which I don't want to jinx anything, but lots of people have talked about this as well, about how new things that have been implemented by BSG are actually coming in like quite nicely. Like it almost feels as if either they've just, I don't know, changed their framework about how they implement stuff, or they've got like some different people or whatever. But like ever since they started adding in things like, I guess the preset system, which it's flawed in some ways, but the way it works is actually pretty good. Like ammo loading system is pretty good. Like all of those kind of features, especially ammo loading, like those ones are working like really nicely. And this is also another thing, which is, okay, we've not just put the damage and pen in. Like, what's the purpose for this? Oh, it's so that people actually know what's going on. Okay, we'll give it like some kind of table so you can figure out what the deal is. So it's much more clear than I thought they would do. And it's, they've gone above and beyond what people were asking them to do, because that would probably be the next question, right? Like the community says something and it's up to BSG to interpret what the community is really asking for. If they just blindly do what the community says, the next thing would be like, oh, well, for a new player, what does 40 pen mean? It's like, okay, well, now we need to put a grid in. Well, they've kind of gone that one step ahead. Like they never used to do this. They just used to do what people said normally, or like some naive approach to whatever. And I do feel like it's got better. I genuinely do. Whether they interpret like these things and implement them.
This isn't the same implementation in Arena, right? This is like kind of like different because Arena has like, remind me again.
Arena's got damage and pen, but that's it. There is no, I don't know, like grid of armor classes or anything like that. It just shows damage and pen, which is actually kind of funny that Arena's like that, because Arena's got like damaged armor and all sorts of stuff. So Arena's like almost like worse than base EFT in some ways. It's like less understandable, but I don't know. It's like it's weird that they did it there, but they're not here. They've done this here with a different grid, but maybe they'll put that back in Arena. Who knows?
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
I mean, I hope they
clear.
do. Nice.
I'm not complaining. I was just clarifying. It's just interesting that this is like they have gone the extra mile. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's just I thought it would never happen, and here we are. So dreams can come true. Don't let your memes become dreams, guys.
Exactly. I even had a message from Tower on Discord. He like
Mhm.
DM'd me, and he was like 7 years, beef. I've been waiting 7 years. So there's a lot of people who've been waiting for a long time for this. So it's good. I mean, it's a good thing. It's
Yeah.
definitely a good thing. So yeah, obviously that's like a big change, important one. Nothing important for like us long timers, so it doesn't really matter. But there's loads of other stuff in this patch. I think people were speculating even before the notes came out that it was going to be quite a big one because it said 14.5 and we were on like 14.1 before. So it's
Mhm.
like okay, there's like quite a few.
Bit of
Take
a
up.
jump.
Yeah, they could do whatever, right? It doesn't necessarily mean anything,
Yeah. Yeah.
but there's some kind of symbolism of big version jump or whatever. Um, and we did get quite a few things. So started the first iteration of the season system. Now I imagined it was just I don't really know what I thought, to be honest, but winter, spring, autumn. I didn't really think about the difference between spring and summer, that maybe it would probably just be the same or something. And it says here on this one, early spring will be available in this update, like in particular early spring. And anyone who's played this week has seen that it's like super cool. It's like patchy snow. There's like
Mhm.
sort of like brownie, sort of deady grass kind of thing. Like the tree cover is like starting to come back. Like it's done really really well,
Yeah.
and it's super nice. And it's like there's a new footstep sound for being outside, which is kind of like wet boots sort of sloshing through the kind of
Mhm.
sleet kind of situation, which I don't necessarily quite like it that much, but it's good. It's a nice atmospheric thing. I'm sure I'll just get used to it and it'll just be part of the game like everything else. And there's a load of other stuff as well. I guess maybe we'll talk about it now because it says the season change implies a change in visual parts, location, ambient sound, and weather effects. And some of those have changed a lot. Maybe we'll just go through it in order because otherwise it's going to get a bit confused. But there's definitely some like wind noise and stuff that we'll talk about in a bit. That's like really really cool. And other seasons corresponding to calendar seasons will be added in future updates. Now, there's like one random tidbit that I have about this, which is that Tobias, who, if you guys remember him, he used to be one of the community managers at BSG. He's since moved on. I think he works for Blood Hunt or one of these other games. I'm actually not sure which game it is that he works for because I've never played it. Anyway, he said that apparently it was originally supposed to be planned as DLC to have these
Mhm.
seasons, and that it was nice to see them roll it out for everybody. And I replied to him was just like, I just don't understand how, like, BSG talks about this stuff quite often, right? How can something like seasons be DLC? The only way I can imagine it is like the Dota 2 map, right? You can have a different map from
Right.
somebody
Yeah.
else, but it's like very carefully balanced. Like each tree has
Mhm.
to be in the same position with the same coverage, that kind of thing. I was like, in Tarkov, that's just not going to be the case. Like, there's going to be advantages or disadvantages to someone having snow. It's like I would pick snow every time. Can you imagine someone still playing summer and you're in playing snow? Like, it just doesn't make any sense. Like,
Yeah.
how is that DLC? I don't get it. Um, and he kind of was like, yeah, well, maybe they had like limited effects that they wanted to put in, blah blah, but decided not to do it. And I'm glad that they did. So like, I don't know, but it still doesn't really answer the like. Maybe that was their whole plan all along. Same thing with like maps with DLC. Like, I guess that sort of makes more sense. You can only play on it if you've got the DLC, I
Sure.
guess. But anyway, it's always a bit strange when BSG talks about like DLC effects. It's very odd. So anyway, it's cool. Have you seen the pictures? I guess.
Yeah, I
Looks very
was
nice.
like very impressed because like with this, winter, I could see it, doing some type of automated process, whereas this
Mm.
looks like a lot more you got to do it by hand. I don't know. I'd be very intrigued to know how they achieve what they do, and like, do they have to like create a new map every time, or can they just like, you know,
Mm.
use the previous map and then there's like a layer applied when the map loads for the players and that changes the I wonder how they I would love to I'm very intrigued in the back end side of things because yeah I just it does look very handcrafted,
Mm.
whereas like the snow kind of felt a bit more on the side of automation. There was like some weird oddities here and there, like snow being covered, like you go inside a garage and like everything's covered in snow. It's like
Mm.
that doesn't really, but whatever.
Yeah.
So I don't know, pretty impressed. Yeah, color me impressed.
I think it must be automated using the same tech. I think like we've seen a couple of these things come through ever since Nikita started talking about automation. And the reason why he was talking about that in the first place was firstly, actually, it was mainly culling. Was the why he was talking about
Mm,
automation and using AI basically, or not even necessarily AI, but just algorithmic processes to work out where culling should and shouldn't be. And I can only imagine that they've like utilized some of that experience that they've got to try and start rolling these things out because I think again some of it does look sort of systematic. I think Ewing posted about how like one side of different hills was covered and the other not and stuff like that. So it's quite, I don't know, it's sort of make it quite realistic, but it sounds just something that's sort of programmed in. And again, when we come onto audio a bit later on, it almost feels like they can use some of these technologies to piggyback other things. Because there's like I'll just touch on it very quickly now, but there's like the new sound effect around windows and doors, which is way better than it used to be. Like it's like miles better than it used to be. And my suspicion is that they've used the occlusion system to do some of that stuff. So it's like it feels to me like they're bringing in more of this automation, and it's having amazing effects, right? Like you end up once you've got the initial settings right, you just apply it across all the maps, and then you get amazing things without having to have somebody spend like hundreds of hours manually doing stuff. Like it's obviously the right way of doing it if you can get it to work that way. So it's cool. A BTR. The BTR is on Woods Church. Nobody was expecting this.
Yeah, for sure.
Nobody had asked for this. Did people want it? I'm not sure. I know people were very concerned about the use of covering fire on Woods, because presumably you can pay for covering fire on the BTR, and on Woods there's not really anywhere to hide, which is pretty funny. But yeah, it goes around the map. There's like a whole set of different points: Scat Bunker, Sunken Village, Old Sawmill, USEC Checkpoint, Emacom Base, Junction. USEC Checkpoint apparently is the one with the SUV. I was actually not sure what that was, but it's the SUV where you pick up one of the Lend-Lease items.
Oh yeah.
Near Sawmill. Apparently that's USEC Checkpoint. Because
I
I was
thought
like,
that would have been Junction.
yeah, I don't know, and I honestly don't even know what Junction is at this point. But there's a couple of people who put like a few maps out, but no one's really sure if it drives the same path every time yet. Like it's quite hard to find it because the map's so much bigger than streets in some sense, at least. And yeah, it's hard to know like exactly how it goes around the map, but it goes outside the map at some parts. It says on here, add a detailed suspension system, which is quite cool, and open the gates at northern and southern UN to allow the BTR to drive outside. So I guess it goes like out of the map and back in, because you can't really go around that old railway section. You wouldn't be able to like. It's just kind of too cluttered for the BTR to go out there.
Yeah.
So now it goes out of one gate and comes back in the other, which is kind of fun. Like it goes out of the map. Yeah.
I'd like to see that animation.
Yes, I think it just drives out. I think the gate's already open, and if you can run out, but you get shot by snipers.
Cool.
So I've not seen it yet. I did play Woods a little bit, but I didn't see it, because like normally it gives it away on streets because you hear it.
Yeah, and there's also like very long, clear sight lines of streets, like literal streets you can just stare down.
Yeah, whereas it's kind of hard. Like I tried to go up onto Sniper Rock, but it's not really the right place for it, and like there's trees in the way and stuff. It's a bit tricky. Someone said Junction is a new spot following the road after the old vehicle extract, the one before Woods expansion.
Okay.
And you do there is like a stopping point with like a barricade on each part, so I think it should be like some of them was a bit more obvious, like because they have changed like a few random bits on Woods.
Yeah.
There's some map updates as well, little ones. It's like tiny little things, and I don't really know why. There's like, do you know where my sniping spot is? You know the Scav House like sniping spot. It's near Attachment Shack. There's two trees, kind of. If you went from Attachment Shack, you kind of went towards Scav House. Along that tree line, there's like two trees there.
Okay.
But there's between that and Scav House itself, there's now like a load of barricades around Scav House. Like Scav House used to just be open from that side, but no, sorry, not Scav House. Sorry, the Attachment Shack used to be open from that side, but now there's like some barricades in the forest around it, not just the log pile behind, but like in front too. It's like some actual purpose-built fortification, which is kind of kind of cool. And the BTR doesn't go down there, as far as I'm aware. So yeah, there's like some little adjustments, like just a few things that have changed onwards, which is quite neat.
I figured if you're like a mapper and you're doing this, implementation for the BTR, you got to do all these things. You maybe pass over some previous work that you're like, looking back 5 years ago, I would have done this differently, and you just like, yeah, I could totally see that, because that would be me.
yeah, maybe they had some ideas in mind and say, oh, here's my opportunity to like bundle it in.
Yeah,
we're changing the map anyway, so but yeah, it's annoying because if I lie in my spot, I can't see into Attachment Shack as well as Scav House, because I used to be able to, and now I can't really, which is a pain. But so yeah, that's fun. I haven't had a chance to use it yet, but that's fun. Presumably, it's going to be the same as on the streets. So you can throw your stuff in and then carry on doing your raid or whatever. Ground Zero is now a map again for most people. Most of us didn't play it since the beginning of the wipe because it had a level 20 cap on it, and now it's probably been split. I don't know why they did it at level 20 still, because like I'm sure Nikita said level 15 in Tarkov TV.
I recall that.
Yeah, I just think it's a mistake having people with the flea bundled in with people not on the flea.
I agree.
But either which way, it goes up to level 20, 21 and above, you get match made into a different group. It's done in quite a nice way as well. If you're in a mixed group with level 15s, say, and level 25s, then you all get put into the higher tier one. The higher tier version has, and I couldn't figure this out yet, like increased difficulty of scavs, like better loot and airdrops and column tie, interestingly, on the higher tier version. I don't know whether that means like the scavs are easier on Ground Zero compared to everything else, or whether the scavs on Ground Zero are like harder compared to the
Compared
other
to
maps.
everything. Yeah.
I don't really know. Like it
I
doesn't
wonder.
say. Yeah. So it's funny because like Ground Zero now, I went in just to go and like check it, and I was like, oh, actually, like thinking about this, I got to be a bit careful because
Mm-hmm.
everybody here is level 21 at least. Like Labs is kind of self-selecting like that in many ways.
Right, right.
But this is the first time we've ever seen like an actual level gate. Like you could have some Timmy wandering around labs, it's possible. But on Ground Zero, it's not possible to have them there. Like level 21 is the lowest level that can be in this raid.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, yeah, it does give you like pause for thought a little bit. And thinking the scavs are slightly harder. They are very keen to shoot you. I nearly got killed by one going to the vehicle extract. It was very, very very dedicated on trying to murder my ass while the countdown went down. But it's good. It seems fun. I haven't played it enough yet to figure out exactly whether how the map plays out. Like some parts of the map are better than others, in my opinion. I prefer the section up by the Terror Group building because you can go underground, round underneath towards the flare, like the flare exit. Like the other end of the map, I've like Nakatani building and that kind of stuff. I
Yeah.
find a bit like more constrained. There's not really any way to go. Like if you spawn at Nakatani, you like have to just like run down the street to try and get into one of the buildings because there's no other way across. It's a bit tricky. So like I prefer the other end, but I spawned like around Nakatani like every raid I tried.
Mm.
Classic. And one annoying thing about this is that, as it says here, there's like a load of quests been added. So if you're halfway through Shooterborn in Heaven, they've now added Ground Zero. So there was a couple of people who came into my chat saying like, "Oh, I had like 2 kills left to do on streets or something, and I've got to do 5 on bloody Ground Zero as well." Like, oh my god, because it just got added done retroactively. Like, obviously, if you've completed the quest, you don't have to do it. If you haven't completed it and you're halfway through, then those requirements have now been added. But there's a few others like the guide, peacekeeping mission, um, survivalist path eagle owl in particular was is a weird one.
Is that the night
Yeah,
one?
yeah, it's a nice scavs one, but this one you have to because I think it's because it's excluding factory. I think that's why it's been added there.
Oh,
Um,
okay, yeah, that makes sense.
yeah, escort, slaughterhouse, information source, like high level quest. But I think there was another one. I think there was one that wasn't listed here. Is it test? I can't remember. Is it test drive? There's one of them that like you're not allowed to do it on factory or maybe another map as well, and that wasn't here and that wasn't working, and that might be added later. I don't know. But anyway, yeah. So now you can complete or not those quests whenever. Like you don't just fail them if you reach level 20, because now you can play it whenever. And yeah, it's cool. Like I enjoyed the little bit of Gran Zero that I played. It's like very small, obviously. There was reports of people trying to. And we don't know exactly yet whether it was like Reddit gaslighting people trying to say that the Terror Group, the labs items for the hideout spawn in the Terror Group office just so they could get like shooterborn
Oh,
kills.
wow.
Because I had tons of people coming in and asking me like, "Is this true? Is this true?" Like someone posted it apparently with like no proof, no pictures, no nothing. So I feel like it's just like
Classic.
disinformation on the
Yeah.
internet style of like, oh my god. But yeah, the loot seemed okay. It didn't seem crazy. It didn't seem bad. It seemed a bit like normal streets. I mean, I don't know where the hotspots are exactly. There's like loads of
Mhm.
PCs in the offices, so could be a good place to go for some GPUs and stuff. But yeah, I need to play the map a little bit more. I felt very rusty on it. It's been a long time since I played
Yeah.
it. I know some people have been playing it as Scav more so throughout the white, but like I literally just haven't touched the map.
It
So I
seems
was
like
trying to remind
food
myself.
is fairly abundant. Like I remember getting
Mm.
lots of food items and like sugar and stuff. So
Yeah. Yeah. Some people saying, it's been crazy or wipe. You just go in and farm like a whole bag of milk and just leave.
yeah, yeah. I played Scav on it once recently, and I had a pilgrim, and yeah, I looted up, and I killed some poor Timmy. I mean, this was so bad. You know what I was thinking? I had a very wicked thought when I was reading when you were talking about these quests they added. I was like, what
Hmm.
if they add a punish? I mean, there's no way they would do this, or you could even get to work. But BSG, if you're listening, don't do what I'm about to suggest. But what if they added a new Punisher series, like a new Punisher quest? Punisher Part 7. Go to Ground Zero, level 20, and kill all the under levels. with like some obscure weapon, some like meme weapon, but the idea is you have to punish them for playing Tarkov.
Oh my god. Welcome to Tarkov, Punisher
Yeah.
Part 7, yeah. Weird.
Like I said, it was a wicked thought.
Yep.
But it did put a smile on my face when I was thinking about it.
It was just reminding you of Shudderville's escapades on Ground Zero, playing as, what was he like that when he was on there? It's like level 55 player scav, just running around, just like killing Timmies.
So brutal.
So brutal. So that's there. And if you want to kill Kollontai slightly more easily than going on streets, I mean, I don't think it's necessarily like that hard on streets per se, but streets is just a difficult map for some people to run, so it gives you another alternative to go and kill him elsewhere, which is cool. I did manage to grenade launcher one of the guards.
Ooh.
He was at the end of the street. We were like, why are they all just doing outside Terragate buildings? It's crazy. And someone was like, is that Kollontai? And then I got one on the like death screen because I hung around in the building for like way too long because I wasn't really taking that seriously and got shot in the head by somebody doing shooterborn, like from all the way down the street. But I could have gone to go and at least give them a go at some point. So yeah, they do spawn damage. Okay. So what's next? So the sound system. Sound system. This is kind of what we were talking about before. So updated ambient sound to match the current season. It did seem like less windy or like more still during winter, like less wind sounds and stuff like that, even in the old iteration. When you go into co-op offline mode, you could always pick like the wind strength in that mode. And it never really seemed to make any difference, right? Nobody's ever really talked about this. And the second point here, wind volume now depends on its strength in raid, which is just like, well, what else does it affect, other than the trees? I think it does affect the shaking in the trees.
Yeah.
But yeah, now it depends on the strength in raid. So one thing I always found a bit weird about Tarkov's audio is it sounded to me like it's supposed to be, this post-apocalyptic like region, right, where terrible things have happened. It always sounded to me like I'm stood 1 mile away from a major motorway in Tarkov, just in the background. It's like car. It's almost like cars.
Yeah, it's like a hum almost. It's like a buzz.
Yeah, and they've replaced that. And it does actually sound like wind now, because I think the issue with it before is it was very monotone. It was just the same noise the whole time. Whereas now it comes and goes like the wind does. And so it feels a lot more realistic, actually. And I think it's a lot nicer too, which is pretty neat. It's just good. And then they've updated the indoor rain sound as well, which I haven't heard yet, but also apparently sounds quite good from what people have said. And then they've got some really interesting ones, which is added smoother transitions between day and night ambient. Like this was really bad before, honestly, right? It was like you'd be outside and it's just
yeah,
and then you go inside, it's and now it's like into and it's like a very hard line where you step like 1 micron to the left and you're inside, and to the right you're outside. So now I actually struggled to even like work out, because I was like, oh, sure, I'm just gonna be able to like fiddle with the boundary and like see what's going on here. And I kind of like went in and I was like, did it change or did it not change? And it's like it's very gradual. But it also, as I was saying before, it spills through the doorway and through windows. So at first I was like, well, this didn't change at all. And then I went inside and I was like, oh no, there's the inside sound. Okay, so like where's the threshold here? And it's like I'm still not 100% sure exactly how it works, because it's kind of like if you're sort of like, it's like I think it's like, this is why I suspect it's like the occlusion system in some sense. Like if the outside is occluded, then it plays the inside sound. But when you can see the outside, or when you'd be able to hear the outside, like you get the outside volume starting to mix into the audio. Like it's really good. It's actually really good.
Does it scale with distance? Like the further you are away from a window, the softer the outside gets?
I wasn't. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I haven't tested it enough, and I did try a few little bits, but then I just kind of moved on to the next thing. What I was really on Shoreline for was trying to vault out of windows. That's what I was on Shoreline for. So I like gave it a little go, and it just seemed good. And I was like, okay, well, my takeaway for now is just like it's good. I don't know exactly like where the threshold is and blah blah. But like I'm busy doing other stuff, so I didn't test it like extensively. But it seems to feel pretty good, and it's felt good when I played as well. Hasn't felt weird. Like Ground Zero, you start getting like the wind outside sound effects if you go near like the big open broken glass panes outside the office windows. I don't know what happens if you're like inside and it's not broken and then you shoot it. Like there's all sorts of questions I have about this, whether it plays it before you break it or not, whether it's the same. I don't know. Either which way, even if it's like 95% of the way there, it's 95% better than it was before. So thumbs up, good addition. They've done really well. Apparently, day and night ambient they've also changed a bit, but yeah, that's probably only happens very very rarely, so I'm not sure about that. The audibility through doors and windows you talked about, and external sound suppression inside the BTR, not super important. All right, so other UI stuff. So we talked about the damage and pen already. They've added a new set of quality of life things in the skills menu, which is really cool.
Yeah, I saw this. I mean, it's very intriguing. Like you said, it's just very intriguing because it's very detailed. I mean, it might be a little small here on the
Mm.
screen, with the technology that we have right now, but yeah, I mean, it tells you what it does. It tells you how to level it, and looks like they redesigned the layout slightly, but also, as the notes say, you now get a green skill bar progress in raid displaying how many skill points you have gained during the raid, which,
Mhm.
yeah, that's actually very handy for like testing purposes, especially. But in general, it's also just a nice thing to know. It's just, yeah, I just kind of just like, a bit flabbergasted, honestly. I thought this was like heresy within the BSG doctrine of discipline of game design. Here we are.
Yeah, I think they've finally given up on some of these things where it's on the wiki anyway. They're getting towards 1.0. Like, this is the way the game is played with the wiki. It doesn't
Hmm.
tell you everything, right? Like, you still need to know the precise mechanic. Like, if you want to know how to level immunity, for example, it doesn't say, you have
Eat.
to eat the thing with a negative stat
Right.
debuff over a time, and then when it finishes, you get the stat points. Like, it doesn't say anything like that, but it's just much more helpful. Without having to go to the wiki, if you weren't that kind of player, you could do it.
Hmm.
Um, you could do it, and it's a reasonable approach at least. And the stat point, like the little green bonuses, is good because it takes a while to level stuff up, and you just see the little icon in the corner, and it's hard to know, like, oh, how long did that take me? Like, I'm not really sure. You don't really get a sense of your progression. Whereas now, yeah, you get in your current hideout session, you get to see your crafting, and you get like weapons maintenance, whatever, if you repair some guns and blah blah. And then when you enrage, you get to see the green bar for how much XP you went up in endurance and strength and covert movement and all those kind of things. Um, there's a couple of like other changes in the background, which like we can go through all of them before, but this is a good place to mention two of them.
Sure.
Is that two skills have been removed from the game, which is not in the
Oh
patch
my
notes.
god, yeah, I heard about that. I couldn't believe that either.
Yeah, so recoil control has been removed, as has memory. Now, memory had no place in the
Oh.
game. Memory used to roll back your skill XP
Yeah.
when you didn't use those skills. So when you didn't play, your skill XP went back, and they were like, it's like one of those ultra
That's an
realistic
old,
things.
old, old feature,
It's
by the
very,
way.
very old feature, and it was
Yeah.
still in the game as a placeholder because they actually removed the mechanic that made it happen. So it was still there, but it never actually did anything. But yeah, recoil control is the more important one. That one is now gone. So now all you have is the weapon specific
Yeah.
recoil controls. And some people were asking me about this on stream. Like, I don't really know what they did with the stat points that went into it, but my understanding of recoil control always was that it only affected horizontal recoil and not vertical, and that only the assault, like the weapon skills, affected vertical recoil and horizontal as well, but
Something like
mainly
that.
vertical,
Yeah, I can't
something like this. So,
remember.
I think recoil control was only ever horizontal, and ever since BSG like dramatically reduced the horizontal recoil and then reworked the complete system like from scratch, it kind of doesn't really matter anymore. So I don't think it makes that much of a difference. I don't think it matters. But it's interesting that it's gone. They're actually doing some like tidying up of things that they're not going to
Yeah.
re-implement or that they're getting rid of, like memory, which is kind of interesting. Um, what other little so quality of life on the staff, you can report a player for cheating on their profile page. You can view their profile via dog tags or the lobby screen, whatever. So just like more easy ways of looking at people's profiles. And it says like added a button for dog tag bonuses information in the Hall of Fame zone, but that doesn't actually seem to exist.
Hmm.
I don't think, unless like they re-patched it in since the patch came out. Like that didn't actually seem to be there. It just looks the same. I didn't really see any difference.
Yeah, I don't, at a glance, I don't really see anything different.
Mm. They've also, given you've got the game up, it doesn't say in the patch notes, but they've moved the position of the sorting table. So it's now no
Oh,
longer
yeah.
in the bottom of the list. It's now at the top. So you click the sorting table button at the top of the stash, and it opens it up. And then there's a little button
Wait, where?
it's just at the top. It's next to your money. It's like there's two tabs, I think. One says sorting table. Like it's in a tiny. There's a tiny little like. Do you not see? Hold on.
No,
let me have a look at you.
maybe I have to
Go back into your
go.
character. Oh. Um. Wait. Where's your sorting table? It was next to stash. So you see, there's the little yellow thing,
Yeah,
which says stash upgrade is available for purchase
right.
on the website, and then stash, and then next to that was the sorting table. Have they removed it?
Uh, do you have yours on your
I
game?
can open it as well. Someone in chat is just saying, hover over the current bonuses on the Hall of Fame.
Okay.
We're skipping back to the Hall of Fame here.
Oops.
Sorting table DLC. Yeah, exactly. So current bonuses. If you hover over that list of, I guess, like skill group leveling with your mouse.
Doesn't seem to be doing anything. Oh, you can't see my mouse, but yeah, it
I
doesn't
can't
seem
see
to
a
be doing
mouse.
anything.
No.
Maybe I don't know. Maybe I need to restart or something. I'm not sure.
I mean, your sorting table is missing. I don't understand. That's very weird.
I didn't get the full patch. I only got half a patch.
Yeah, exactly.
Only got half the spring.
That's super weird.
It is weird.
I don't get it. I don't get it. Mine's just opening in a minute, and I'll tell you in a sec whether mine's there or not.
Yeah, I might as well restart and see.
Let's see. Yeah, mine's up there.
Yeah,
it's next to stash. It's between stash and the money. Dude, like what is that?
They specifically nerfed me. I was too powerful.
Too powerful to use the sorting table.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Very, very weird. Very weird. Okay, fair enough. Well, either way, what else we got? So, yeah, only a few bits and pieces left. So AI searches for cover a bit better. Sound signal for the BTR when it departs from its stop point, improves some hit reg when players are tilting. Okay. And then they've changed the lighting inside Ultramall on interchange, which people are enjoying, I think, I would say. Some people are saying it's like, oh, if it's so crazy, it's so different. I think it's like different enough. I don't think it's that different necessarily, but that's from like a plus 30% gamma person. I think if you didn't have your gamma up like all the way, then it would be like probably more noticeable. But I do think it is a lot better. Like it looks way better. It doesn't interfere with the ambience of the map, but it does allow you to see, which is important. So yeah, it's good. Like I can only say good things about it. Axel posted a picture, but I think he's got a lot of post effects and all sorts of other funny stuff going on, which showcases that it's quite bright or whatever. But it's still like I think in most places it's still quite like dark and moody or whatever. But like the ambient lighting seems to work better in like Goshan and places like that. So it seems okay. But yeah, it's good. It's good. And then it's like a whole bunch of other random stuff. Fixed geometry for settings and locations aimed at more accurate operation of vaulting and climbing mechanics. And it says, like, for example, the windows of the health resort. I was unable to vault out of any of the windows in the health resort at all when I went there. I did not find a single window inside that I could vault out of. So I don't know what they've done, but it didn't seem any different to the way it was before. It seemed exactly the same. Fixed AI with station weapons, fine. Fixed damage calculation algorithm for limb penetrations. Okay, so this one's important. So previously we had like level 10,000 arms. You could never shoot through them. There was no penetration through arms in any way. I haven't tested it, but Airwing did, and I'm just going to quote his tweet basically that he put out about it because he's going to do a video on it soon, but he tested it and put it out on Twitter quickly so people got the info, which is that the forearm, you need 20 pen. Upper arm, you need 50 pen. And that's how you pen those parts. That's the long and the short of it. So it helps against like the canted meta, I guess. There's a way of defeating the upper arm if you're trying to shoot through to the thorax. But for 99.9% of bullets that people are firing, it won't make any difference because you need 50 plus pen to get through the upper arm section. Right. You probably won't notice it in your raids particularly. People won't just suddenly like keel over from the side quite as much. But it's good to get rid of the weird like canted thing because that was just like super weird. Because most of that's forearm, right? It's like both your forearms are in front. Like your upper arms are covering it in some way, but like not like all the way across the front like it is when your forearms like near your face and you're ADSing. And yeah, but it's kind of weird, right? Like I feel that 50 is a very high penetration threshold to set for the upper arm. If you think about the way that the ammo mix because of the recoil system change and the way that now ammo, what do you call it? Ammo like acquisition, how far that's been pushed up in terms of level, in terms of access, restrictions and whatever. Almost nobody uses like 50 pen ammo. Like even M855A1 won't go
Yeah.
through the upper arm, right? And there's a very limited number. Like he actually did some testing and said M995 is like right on the threshold and is like 50-50.
Mm-hmm.
So the only I had a quick look and like who used like no one uses M61, 545
Right.
Igolnik, like maybe. Like a 555BS is probably the best contender. Like people maybe use that,
Yeah.
but again, it's hard to get a hold of. Like APSX, like no one uses that. Everyone uses FMJ. Like, there's just nobody's using these things. The most well used round above 50 pen that I could see in that list by a long way was 54 RBT. You can buy it.
Right.
It goes in the
Yeah.
SVD. It goes in the SVT or the AVT.
Yeah.
Or the SV98. Like that one is used sometimes, but otherwise, I just don't think it makes any difference. So it's basically like the upper forearm is, the upper arm is still pretty much impenetrable to most people. The lower forearm, they've changed it, so it's 20 pen, so fine. You're not going to get like buckshotted through it or whatever. But anything above like 9mm PST will defeat the forearm, which is okay. It's probably an okay middle ground, honestly. I know lots of people were like raging about the arms thing, but like practically speaking, in raids, do you really feel it? Like I don't know, I'm not sure.
I guess I could see the dilemma that they're in, because if you make the arms unpenetrable, then you run into the issue where arms act as armor effectively.
Yeah.
So then people are tankier. And then if you make it so where arms are penetrable and there's like, zero mitigation or very small mitigation, then you run into the issue where you get shot with a big caliber round that has high pen, high damage, like M80 or M61. Their arm gets black, they take spillover, and then it hits their thorax gap,
Mm-hmm.
because you're shooting them in the upper arm, and then they just eat the full round and dead in one bullet or two bullets. It's like die faster. So
Yeah.
I guess, in fairness, this is a pretty, a way to sort of like split down the middle between the, you know, lesser of two evils or something. I don't know. Some type, insert some type of metaphor, but you know what I'm saying.
Mhm. Yeah. I was thinking like, oh, is it too high? Should it be more like 45 or like 43 or something? Because then you've got
Hmm.
like some rounds that sneak in, like maybe M95 or like BP to be able to go in there. But on reflection, I don't know. It kind of adds value to those bullets that are really hard to get. Like, and what's in
Yeah,
that list?
yeah.
It's like SSAP, MAIAP, APSX, SNB, M61, like all of
Hmm.
these kind of things. So it's like, okay, well, do we really want M855A1 to be? Oh, it's clearly better
Right.
than 56A1, and also it pens the arms as well. So like, it's actually just way better. But you can craft it and stuff. Like, do we want that really? And I was thinking, like, actually, maybe not. Like it would be nice. It maybe is nice to differentiate between some of these like super high tier funny made only ammos. It's like, okay, well, with this, I can actually pen and kill somebody through the chest from the side through the arm with
Hmm.
SSAP or MIIP. Maybe. Now, I've kind of come around on it a little bit. Because I
Yeah.
originally thought 50 was too much, but
I think when I first saw this post, I was just scratching my head because I didn't really understand. But
mm,
now, with some clarity, I think it actually makes. I think it actually makes a lot more sense. It also makes those, like, it gives them even more value in that, like, they're more reliable. Like, because there's always like this issue where these, like, unicorn rounds, they have like really like almost like too much pin at the cost of the damage reduction that they naturally come with. Because that's kind of how they scale their ammo. Like low pin rounds on average typically have higher damage on average within their class, whereas like high pin rounds within their respective class have lower damage but much higher pin. That's sort of like the trade off that you get. But now
mhm,
that there's like, this not really a special property, but just the nature of the systems, the high pin rounds were already like, in many iterations more consistent, which has now been furthered since we got all these new systems,
mm,
even more consistent now. So
yeah,
I felt like it actually might be worth doing, like throwing in, like, let's say you find like 20 or 40 rounds of MAI, AP, or whatever. It might actually be worth throwing a couple of those in your mags, or,
mhm,
maybe top loading with them, put it in your gamma or something. I
yeah.
don't
Or
know.
special PMC mag, like, or
Yeah. Yeah, you could
scav
do
mag,
that.
PMC mag, that kind of
Yeah.
deal.
Lots of options there.
Yeah. So no, it's interesting. We'll see. We'll see. There's a few other things. What
Oh,
else?
one
Just
one
like,
thing I
oh
wanted
yeah,
to
yeah, yeah.
ask you about that was, what about armor then? Like actual armor, like the
Hmm.
what are they called? Zaralo, for example, the class 3. Like,
Yeah.
would that? How does? I wonder if like, is it even enough airman like class 3 armor to even mitigate the damage enough? Like, I'm wondering if the order
No.
operations. No, okay, all right.
So I mean, and Ewing did actually say in his testing, he said that it does mitigate damage in pen as well, but he
Mm-hmm.
couldn't really work out how much. It was like the testing was too complex, right? Like going from one part into another part is too inconsistent to really figure it out. I'm sure it probably is. I think like you would be probably safe to say, because like if you're shooting through class 5 with
Mm-hmm.
with 50 pen ammo, normally the mitigation is like 20%. So you'd probably be safe to assume that that's probably similar to this. I would guess. I mean, this just is a guess, right? I don't know. I'm assuming that's going to be the same. The issue with damage mitigation and class 3 is that, yeah, it's there, and like you got some mitigation from the
Mm-hmm.
penetration originally. So like you have a 50 pen bullet, it comes in, it reduces it by say 20%, so it goes down to 40 pen. But against class 3 armor, like the rules of thumb is that for mitigation, once you get like 10 points above 3 times the armor class, if
Mm-hmm.
that right, sorry, 10 times the armor class, then it stops mitigating at all, basically. So like if you have a class 3 armor, 30 30 pen goes through like 90% of the time,
Right.
but it gets mitigated like 20%. To remove the mitigation, you need to go up to 40 pen. After
Yeah.
40 pen, it's just 100%, basically damage in pen. There's just no drop off.
Gotcha.
And that's really where like the thresholds lie. So for something that high, like you still get the mitigation all the way up to like 60 pen rounds. But for the class 3 underneath, it would have to go under 40 pen for it to do that, to actually have an effect. So it's just gonna sail straight through. Like if it goes through the arm, even if it gets mitigated, it's still just gonna go straight through and hit, whatever's behind. I feel like that armor then is just like not really. It's still just not that valuable. Like it's
Yeah.
okay, but and especially given they've changed some stuff with the armpit hitboxes, it seems like people aren't just dying to thorax on the side as much now, and I don't know it's a little different than it was. So I think the Ospreys have kind of fallen out of favor.
So furthermore, then, if your arm is blacked, does it still retain that
Yeah,
armor
good
class?
question. Good question. I don't actually know. Um,
Because that would be interesting if it didn't. I don't know if that would matter much, but that might. I don't know. There might be some implications there.
yeah. Thing is, like, our armor is still like okay against certain things. It's just as soon as it gets above 40 pen, it's just pointless. This is like there was a conversation about these big armors on Twitter that I kind of like dipped into as well about
Mm-hmm.
somebody got one tapped by some crappy slug. I can't
Yeah.
remember who it was. I think it was like Nixie reporting on behalf of somebody else on Twitter, just being like, "This is crazy," or retweeting or something.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like a 10% chance to pen class 3. It was
Classic.
like it was like 22 pen
Yeah.
or something. This thing went through the class 3 armor and killed them in one hit to the thorax. Which, like, yeah, sometimes that happens, fine. And it just made me think at that time. I was just like, man, I just feel that the Zabralo, the NFL, the Big Thor,
Yeah.
and the Redoute T5, I just feel like they need class 4 soft, at
I
least around the
agree.
chest or something, because it's. I had an argument with somebody, not really an argument, but so somebody came in just being like, "Well, it's completely unrealistic to have soft armor." It's just
Right.
like, dude, I don't care. Right? You can stitch your arm
Yeah.
back on with CMS. Like, who cares? This is a gameplay problem. Like, what would you rather it be? Like, true to life and no one to ever use this armor ever again, or
Mm-hmm.
like, we bend the rules slightly because it's a goddamn video game and allow people to actually like have a benefit for using those armors because like they have humongous penalties on them even before you
Yeah.
put any plates in.
Plates in them. Yep.
So what's the point? Like, why would you ever use it over, the Defender, the Osprey, the Gen 4? Like, why would you never use the Valor? No one ever used them now. They're just memes. They're just stupid, right? It's like minus 10% move speed before you even begin. And for what though? You don't get anything. You got exactly the same plates in the same places. You got class 3 soft, so it's the same. Oh yeah, great. You get like one extra hitbox of armor coverage, or you get like,
Mm-hmm.
the back of the neck and you get like a bit of the groin or whatever at class 3. Like, whoopee, fantastic. Like, no one cares. It's so
Doesn't do enough for the cost you got to
it does
pay.
nowhere near enough for the cost you
Yeah.
have to pay. And the cost isn't monetary. The cost is, ergonomics and move speed and that kind of thing. So it's just stupid. So I feel like at least some of it needs to go up to class 4. So something needs to be done so they're a bit better because there's just no point in having them right now. Like you make lots of sacrifices and you get nothing for it. I think that's one of the biggest downsides of the armor system is that a whole like swathe of armors have just been just consigned useless.
Yeah, there probably does need to be some tweaking. I mean to be fair, because I feel I don't know this for sure, but I feel like Class 3 Aramid, using Tarkov terminology here, probably isn't that realistic in real life. Like definitely for sure the helmets do not align with real life ratings. So as I understand, like the BSG recognized this and they were like, yeah, we decided to give them all like an extra class, make them
Yeah.
more tougher for gameplay reasons, which I think is a good thing. And I feel like they could probably do a similar thing here. However, Class 4 Airmen may just be like way too fantasy for them. You know what I mean? Like there's
I
just no
mean,
way. I
maybe
don't know.
not, but yeah. It's just I roll at that the whole concept.
Yeah,
It's
no,
like
I get it. I get
we
it.
got we got super like SJ6, super stims, CMS Surf 12 kit, 20 seconds, stitch your leg back on, all this stuff. And it's just like,
Yeah.
but a class 4 Aramid is just like inconceivable. That was the argument I had to this guy online. I was just like,
Yeah.
we've got all these things, and a class 4 Aramid is that's the hill that you die on? Of all things. Like I don't understand. Oh my god.
Someone's got to stand for realism. God
Yeah,
damn
exactly. Exactly. Bring Fontaine back on. But no, the tower sent me a video from Garantham of the CQCM mask getting shot with all sorts of bullets, and it's like
Oh, okay.
it was interesting. It was an interesting little video, and I was surprised actually how many rounds it kind of just like deflected. But I think that's like part and parcel with its issue was that the backface deformation on it is so high that you just die to loads of stuff. And like I think the reason why it deflects things is that the material is like kind of bulletproof, so to speak. But because it deflects and deforms and
Right.
bounces the round back out again, like it has lots of time to absorb the energy. If you've got like a hard plate, it just goes in, bam, crack, and stops it, right? So you don't even really feel the force of the bullet. That's like what it's supposed to do. This is like protecting itself to kill the user. It's like really bizarre. So like it's nowhere near class 4. To your point before about helmets, like it's no way that it's near class 4.
Yeah.
And you could tell that just from looking at it, right? There's just no chance it's going to be a class 4 piece of armor. So this is the thing. It's like, oh yeah, and APM, yeah, Kinder's just right. APM like doesn't even exist.
Right.
Nikita made it up to make 366 rifles good. Like, come on, man. Like, we can have class 4 Aramid in like 3 armors in the game that are the biggest armors. Like, surely. So,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I just despair a little bit about that.
Maybe they could do like, because I wonder if class 4 Airmen would be too strong in this current system. Would that be too much? Because like, think about it. You could stop him. You would. There's a chance you could stop rounds like 856A1. Like you get shot in the groin and your class 4 groin stops it multiple times.
Like, is that a problem?
I mean, maybe not. I don't know.
If it was up to me, they could start it by making the thorax and back armors class 4. Just that.
I guess that's a decent compromise. I feel like I would
just around the plate. It means you're not going to get one tap by the lead slug. Through the front. Like keep the neck class 3, make the front and back of the actual like armor class 4. You could even make the sides the stomach class 4 if you really wanted to. Leave everything else class 3. Like it's mainly about the thorax thing because that's the thing that kills you instantaneously.
Yeah, I was thinking like more like if the neck was class 4, that would like for me that would be definitely enough to like, okay, this is probably worth trying.
Yeah, but then it's like I don't know. I'm still not sure if A, people would even use it, and B, whether it would be imbalanced being class 4. I think it might be okay. You might be right. It might be too much. I don't know. But I think at least making the thorax parts class 4, I think that would be definitely for sure. That'd be definitely fine. It would just stop the BS deaths, and that's it, really.
Yeah, this would be like anti-scav / random bullet armor.
Yeah. And like, if you wear as a Brallo, it should stop random bullshit. That's like, it really should.
Because right now, sorry, go ahead.
I know the system's inconsistent at the moment, but like, you can still be shot in the face, shot in the side, under the arm, in the neck, whatever. Like, you can still do all that, but I think it should stop like random bullshit to the chest. If the Zabralo doesn't stop you getting one tapped by a 22 pence shotgun slug in the chest, there's something seriously wrong with the system.
Yeah, because why would you currently buy a Zabralo?
Oh, there's no reason. There's literally no reason.
Like I can't. Like maybe it's the only one you could get class 6 plates from that you have access to. the only thing I could think of.
But
But
like
you
you
would probably
can't
have
like
Ragman.
yeah, and it's not even
Yeah.
that's just not even true.
Never
Like it's
mind.
hard to get that, right? You got to do like some
Yeah.
you got to do booze and stuff to even get
Right.
access to it. Like the
Right.
access is almost impossible. Like it's the classics plates aren't even the best. Like it's just terrible. Like if I go and look
Yeah.
at my spreadsheet and look at the Zabralo begins life with minus 11.5% move speed, minus 5.5% turn rate, and minus 10% ergo, which actually is a big deal. And it's 11 kilos with nothing in it. It's a class
Yeah.
3 frame with its 11 kilograms, which is absolutely insane. Because if you look at something like the Gen 4 full, I mean it's still bad, but it's not quite as bad. So minus 8, minus 6, minus 8. Okay, fine. When you look at the Osprey, minus 3, minus 1, minus 1. It's like, okay, well, the Osprey, like, what do you gain from going to a Zabralo that you lose with the Osprey?
Mm-hmm.
Front and back groin.
Right. Yeah.
That is it. That is the only thing. There's the only difference. The Osprey and the Zabralo are, in this current formulation of the armor system, identical apart from groin protection.
Yeah, and you get a rig.
And you get a rig. I mean, the Osprey is really good, so like maybe that's slightly unfair.
Yeah.
but needless to say, it's the same thing as like the Defender. What do you not get with that? Well, you don't get armor, but otherwise it's the same as the Zabralo.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's so like they're so close in
Right.
performance for terrible debuffs. Like the Defender's debuffs is minus 1, minus 4, minus 1. You get 10% extra move speed using the Defender, and literally you lose the armor. That's it. It's an insane. You can't put side plates in the Defender 2 either, but you know what? Doesn't matter because the Defender starts at 5.7 kilos. But if you want sides, then you use the Osprey or something else. If you don't care about the neck, then you use the Thor. Like it's just crazy.
Yeah, I think they gotta have some extra lever because this is like really what you're paying for most of the time is armor and like maybe groin. I guess like more armor points, but like I just Aramid's already like insane multiplier as is.
Mhm.
Like, am I ever gonna take 100 rounds of 9x18 PSTGZHR-05? No.
Like, you're dead from blunt before the armor's got to 50% durability. Like
That's an
Aramid's
excellent point as well.
destructibility is so insane because it got like destructibility got buffed right when the armor system came in.
Mm-hmm.
Aramid currently sits on a 0.1875 destructibility, which if you inverse it, which is a much nicer way of thinking about it, that is basically a 5.3 times multiplier on any stat that you see with Aramid in game. So what's the? Well, I can't see the screen next; it's too small. What's the like the
Chest
like thorax plate
eight
for Aramid?
plate or
Like
Aramid?
the Aramid part.
85 out of 85 for the
80.
Zabralo.
So that's got 453 effective durability.
Yeah.
Like it's just like I don't think I've ever seen an Aramid piece on an armor go to 0. It's the same with plates though, because people ask me like, "Oh, is effective durability not a thing anymore?" I'm like, "Well, it is, but like it's not like your armor's protecting everything. Like we used to have one durability pool for the whole thing.
Yeah.
Now
yeah.
you've got 2 plates, so they've got separate pools. And secondly, because they're so tiny, you don't really get shot in the plate that often.
They hardly get it.
I hardly get hit. So like, I
Yeah.
come out of raid with a GAC plate that's like 31 out of 45, and I think, damn, that plate's messed up, man. Like I never see one of these like GAC plates at 0 durability. It's just like it just so rarely happens.
Yeah, on that note about armored Aramid, like even like it's kind of crazy because I see a lot of Thors. I feel like Thor's really useful, but like I'm never like, oh no, this Thor has like 20 out of 20 max durability. That's awful. It's like, no, this is like fine. Like this is totally usable. Like maybe once it starts getting down to like 12, then yeah, it might be time to replace it. But they're, relatively cheap. It's not a big deal. But like I feel like I'm never going to need in an actual raid 85 points of Aramid durability, right? And then B, I'm never going to keep the thing long enough to keep repairing it over and over to get the value of this huge pull it has. You know what I mean? It's not like I'm going to keep getting this back and have it up. Well, maybe I will because no one will dilute it. But anyways, point being is it's not going to get down to like 50 out of 50 over the course of its lifetime. It's just like the value here. What they should do is kind of keep the points, condense those down. Or I say what they should do, but what they could do is condense those gaps down. Like maybe this is 40 and then maybe, the Thor is like 20. But this is class 5 or class 4 airman. The Thor's class 3, so like you get more. Like you just don't need that many points. It's kind of like wasted
Yeah.
points. Like it looks valuable on paper. Like if you kind of just like surface level, don't really know all the ins and outs. This looks actually very great. You know, it's like, wow, I'm getting so many armor points, but really you're it's basically the same as the Thor.
Yeah, like it doesn't mean anything. Like I've got this
Right.
Thor back in my stash, and it's 21.2 out of 24 or something, and I've probably repaired this like 4 times or something.
Yeah.
Like Aaron made repairs so well as well, it just never gets low enough to matter. And then it's class 3, so you're just like, okay, now it's class 2.8.
Right.
It's like, okay, well, the number of rounds it matters against is like, who really cares? So yeah, it's an interesting one. I don't know how this ended up as a rant about the armor system.
Yeah,
Again,
what were we talking about again?
We were talking about this point on the patch notes, which says,
oh yeah, the limbs.
the
we're
limb
talking about
penetration.
limbs. Yeah,
we went
that's
off on a
right.
huge tangent on
Holy
the armor
heck.
system.
All right.
Yeah. So should we finish the patch notes? No.
Yeah, let's finish patch notes. Fix the inability to pick up loot at the Tarak Business Center on Streets of Tarkov. Where the heck is the Tarak Center?
Terracot is it's the corner building near Lexos. It's like if you were going to go past Concordia. Let me try and think of the best way to describe it. So if you are moving away from Concordia and there's like the tank in the middle of the road.
Yeah.
Like sort of the corner building on the edge. If you look up, it says Terracot in the sky. So it's like kind of towards vehicle extract, that kind of one. I don't know why you couldn't loot it. I think it might be the building with it's got 2 doors on each side, and it's like very like glass. It's like all glass. It's the one that faces out towards vehicle X. I don't know. I didn't know you couldn't pick up loot in there. Apparently they fixed it.
Interesting.
FPS drops due to vaulting on auto has been fixed. That's something that we talked about previously. Lack of damage registration after ricochets. Visual painkiller effect when using MVG has been fixed. You can look at players' profiles using the flea market. Incorrect damage. This is quite funny. Incorrect damage to a player when walking into a non-moving BTR. Lol. And return the display of ricochet info chance for helmets, which is quite cool.
Yep,
so they put that back on the helmets again. People were suspecting that the mechanic had been deleted, but it was just hit by the soft players, but you couldn't look into them, so you couldn't see the information anymore. And then an incorrect camera tilt as the player was leaning while aim shooting. I don't remember seeing this. Like there was one like this ages ago, but I remember seeing this recently.
I had this issue. It's like you would lean and then like unlean, or like you would free look, or you had to do something, but then it would like jolt, tilt, like for a couple frames, and then tilt back to the center. Like it was weird. So yeah, that's nice that they fixed it. It's kind of it was annoying, but not like unbearable.
Yeah. So good patch, really. Good patch. I'm pleased. It's felt good to play. There is one thing that is a bit of a pain right now, and there is a bug since this patch has been introduced. And it's basically this like raid disconnection bug. So you go to load into a raid,
and
then it says, I can't remember the exact error message. It says like, connection lost or something. And then you have to try and like load back in again. And the fastest way to fix it, seemingly, is you Alt F4, you load the game back up again, and then when you try and rejoin, it lets you in. Now, people have been testing lots of different things, and it seems that the hideout is the culprit. If you've been in the hideout in that session, you get a disconnection. And I think if you try to reconnect, I don't think it works. But if you Alt F4 the game, obviously the hideout's unloaded then. So when you load the game back up, it lets you in. Really odd.
So I wonder, there's an option to tick preload hideout. Does that affect it at all?
It does.
Oh my gosh.
The preload hideout means you can't get in.
That's crazy.
Now, the back channels and the sources over at BSG's side say, oh, the hideout thing is placebo, but it works every time. So, Eri did a load of testing. Gingy put something out on Twitter. I was testing it with chat yesterday, and if I go in the hideout, I get the error, and if I don't, then I don't. So I don't know. I don't think it's placebo. It seems to be just the thing. But it's when you connect into a live game is the issue. So yeah, that's how you fix it, at least. Alt F4, go in, and just don't use the hideout between matches. If you do use the hideout, close the game, reopen it before you play a game. It's a real pain. I don't know why they haven't fixed it yet, but it must be some esoteric bug with the matching system, something to do with loading. Because it does the first section, And then it gets, and then you get DC'd. But then you're not. I mean, I've been every time that's happened to me. Every time I've gone back in, like it's still loading the game. So I've never been there, with the issue. But like the raids felt really quiet yesterday because I think a lot of people were just getting kicked out or didn't know how to fix it or whatever. Because like I guess you just wouldn't load in. Like if you couldn't reconnect, I don't think your PMC would even spawn. So yeah, raids yesterday felt super quiet because I think a lot of players were just like not able to play or didn't realize how they could play. Very, very weird. Very weird. But other than that, really good patch. So once they've sorted that out, it's gonna be great.
Yeah, and as Giga said prior, by the time this goes out, they'll probably already fix it. I don't remember this being here. Am I crazy? Maybe I
What
just
is
never
that?
see it. It's
Oh, yeah. You probably just couldn't see it
handicap.
before. Yeah, there's like the
I don't know,
disabled
dude. I swear this wasn't
faces.
here, but maybe it was.
I mean, you've played a lot more Interchange than me, so I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't say I necessarily recognized it.
Yeah, that's funny. Anyways,
Yeah, I don't know.
I just wanted to pop in real quick and see. I heard that, jump back to the lighting. I heard that some people said it felt like they played with the levels a bit, like the black and white, like kind of like made the black softer, or I guess lighter, like the darkness. I'm not really. This isn't my. I'm not like a photo editor, but anyways, it from my brief analysis, it looks clearer, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I typically, you say you're a 30% gamma enjoyer. I'm a 50% gamma enjoyer.
That's because you play Interchange more.
Also, lights, big light off, pitch black room. I need maximum.
50% gamma, towel over the monitor. Dude, that reminds me of a time we had a LAN party at a friend's house, but it was in a conservatory, and it was fine right up until about like 5 a.m. and the sun started coming up, and none of us could see our monitors anymore because it was like it was so bright. And I think this is like a long time ago, and I think I can't remember if it must have been one of their like parents' houses or something, and like people basically come down in the morning just like, how's everybody? They come in and we're all just like ghouls, like towels and blankets over the monitor and over our heads so that we can actually see what's going on. It's like super, super weird.
That's so
very,
funny.
very funny. Oh man. Yeah. The lengths that we go to. Okay. So that's that. Should we quickly whip through the arena patch as well? Because that also came. We may as well before we can jump onto some other things. So Arena had quite a big update. They've added Block, which is a new location, which basically looks like streets. We talked about it before, and there were a few pictures previously. I've not played it yet, so I don't know. It's supposed to be like where Kollontai used to live. Obviously, it's Arena, so it's got nothing to do with that. You won't find Kollontai there because it's in Arena. But that should be cool. I'm looking forward to diving into that a little bit. I haven't played Arena since the patch came out, but there's quite a few things that they've changed. So as we talked about last time, they had this like BSG launcher feedback form about like, what you want to see, search and destroy, or all these different kinds of things. And it says an updated feedback list will be available to players in the near future. So I think they're probably like honing in on what people like or don't like. But based on this, they've deleted the tier 1 preset as a concept. It's gone. Which I feel like I was like the only person on the planet that quite enjoyed tier 1 in some ways. Like I quite like playing like sort of scabby gear sometimes. Like it would be nice to get a mix. Like obviously I'd never ended up playing tier 2 and 3, but I'm quite, I don't know, I'm not really that hardcore with my arena play or whatever. So I feel like I'm probably better with those kits than I am playing against people who are using like their meta kits against me, right? Like I just feel like people are better with those kits than I am, like on a relative basis. Which that's probably why I prefer it.
Probably naturally makes sense too, because as you you have to play more to unlock those kits, and so like there's probably like a natural skill change as well, just because of the nature of the system.
Yeah, so they've removed them all. So it says players now have access to 2 free tier 2 presets in each class from the start. So it's a bit like the old tier 1s. They've just moved everything up. All character skills are set to 30 as well now, which is usually how they play the tourneys, I think, because everyone had skills level 1 and their skills level really slowly, right? And so that was a real pain in Arena. So now everyone's at level 30 skills, which is cool. Incidentally, higher than my account on Tarkov, which is pretty funny. And yeah, so as they say, trying to improve overall gameplay and increase the battle dynamics, fine. So they've added some random things. Double experience bonus for the first win of the day in each class. Yeah,
that's
just
nice.
a little boost to just go in and do at least one. Team fight is now 7 rounds. This is the way the tournaments play. For me, this is actually a bad change. I would quite like. There's a couple of times that I have wanted to finish my stream with a game of Arena, and I have 15 minutes left, for example. If the game goes to, not necessarily to like clean up crew, but if it goes to time every time, and it goes 4-5, like I've had twice now, which is much to my annoyance, it takes 30 minutes to finish that game. So I'm like 15 minutes late by the time that I finish.
Mm-hmm.
And it's annoying, right? It's like, okay, well, if I play Arena now, I have to keep 30 minutes spare for sure. Like, that's what I wanted Arena for, right? It was like not to have any time constraints. So this is why lots of people want to have just like free for all or whatever.
Yeah.
I guess you could just play unranked and just quit. But like, it feels kind of crappy, right? It doesn't really feel very good. I mean, I could probably just do that. But now you have to win 7 rounds. So it's like, okay, well, if we're just going to extrapolate now, it was going to take 30 minutes before. Now, if we just literally do like divide it by 5 and times it by 7, now I've got to schedule out 42 minutes
Mm-hmm.
to ensure that I'm going to finish on time. Like, I could play more Tarkov than that in the same time period. That is so weird. Like, I'd actually, at this point, I'd rather play Factory.
Yeah.
To fill the time at the end of the stream. So, like, for me personally, it is an L. Like, this makes sense to align it with the tournaments. I get why they've done it.
Yeah.
But this puts just even more spotlight on the fact that the other game modes are missing. The quick play, I just want to go in and shoot as long as I like and then leave. Like, I want to just play Tarkov Deathmatch for 8 minutes and then go, right? Like, that's not there, and it's just annoying that it isn't there. Collectibles have been removed for now. We removed the ability to simultaneously select team fight and shootout to search for matches. I don't understand why they would do this. Like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, nobody plays shootout anyway, and to force people to pick one or the other just means nobody will ever play shootout.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't get it. Maybe it's just a problem with the matchmaker or something.
That's what I was thinking. Maybe this results in faster matches being made. Not sure.
And then cost of tier 2 and tier 3 has been reduced, and ranked and unranked modes have been increased for cash rewards as well for tier 2 and tier 3, so people don't get bust. I still think that I don't mind the cost of the presets being changed or whatever, but I just feel like money is just sort of pointless in Arena.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not a fun mechanic. Like, it's a fun mechanic in Tarkov,
right?
But like, you can't do anything in Arena to get more money other than win. So well, if you're winning a lot, okay, well, then money's meaningless. If you're losing a lot, well, then it just makes your experience worse.
Yeah.
It's not like you can rat about and get a load of cash and then go back in and try it again. Like, it's a different game loop to Tarkov.
Yeah.
So I don't. It's also money's just not a thing. It doesn't really make sense.
Yeah, it's also like kind of like almost toxic, because it's like if you need money, it's like, oh, I should pick the cheapest kit, but then you're making your team's power output worse. So you're like actively almost sabotaging your team for your own monetary gain. You know what I mean? It's like, team, please carry me, guys. I'm broke. I'm gonna pick the Taz Rizzy shotgun. It's like, all right, we got a useless one trying to get carried again.
Yep. And then there's just like some fixes. Don't need to go through it really, but desync and oh, actually one that is good is that Tarkov and Arena EFT settings are now 2 separate game config files.
Oh, that's great.
Thank God for that. Like, that was so annoying. So now you can have different keybinds in the 2 games, different graphic settings in the 2 games. Because I have my graphic settings like really low in base Tarkov because I play Streets a lot, and anytime I go on Lighthouse, it like boots everyone out of Twitch. If I'm playing Arena, I'm probably going to kick that all the way up. Like, I don't care about like having 200 frames. I'm not that bothered. But I can or at least I can stick the textures up to medium or high or something, because the maps aren't that big, so it's not a problem. So, but yeah, they were like linked before. It was just like so stupid. And that's it. I optimized the loading of loot when loading into a match. Maybe that's quicker. I don't know. I've not played it yet, so we'll see. But I mean, look, I still have high hopes for Arena. I still think it could be good, but they just need to add some more of these modes that are fun for people to just dip in and out. Like, that's what I want it for. I want it to just train. So maybe I will just play unranked. Last time I tried to play unranked, like, I didn't get a game, so I don't know. Does anybody play unranked? Like, no one cares about their rank in ranked. So most people just play ranked. I just play ranked because I don't really care about my rank. Like, ranked is kind of like unranked. Unranked is kind of like who's bothered, right? It's like in other games, obviously I've cared about that kind of thing, and ranked versus unranked makes a big difference. But because I'm not really playing competitively, and a lot of people aren't really playing competitively, I don't think they're just playing to just vibe or whatever, just like get the gunfights in. Then it's it's a bit strange. So I don't know. We'll see. I hope that they add some extra stuff some fun modes, some quick modes. Because yeah, but I've been playing on Factory. Like, yeah, I played a bunch on Factory yesterday, and it was really good. I enjoyed it.
This line here just reminded me, improve support for ultra wide. I figured out mid cast why I don't have a table sorting option.
Why?
And because by resolution. If I go to
Oh,
like my native, it appears there. I tested it and it showed up. So it
oh,
must be like some,
is
resolution
the bar too long
UI.
or something, and so it like hides it or
I
whatever?
guess so. Yeah, yeah.
Like the element is like too big or something like that.
Something. Maybe it's just not. I don't have any idea how stuff like that works, because like
Yeah.
ultra wide, sometimes they have issues with like the UI. Sometimes they'll be still
Mm.
like in their 16:9. You'll just have like empty gameplay real estate on the sides when like they technically should be stretched out, but some people like them there, so it's like, I don't know, it's hard to balance it out. But anyways, yeah, just a funny little thing I figured out. But
Weird.
yep. So that's the patches, both Arena and Tarkov. Um, anything else news wise of note?
News wise, I don't think so. Actually, there's a couple of other bits. I did write down a few other things. So yeah, undocumented changes from the patch so far. The toy gun,
Oh yeah, the
the blicky,
blicky.
which fires. I bought like 4 magazines for this thing, and it turns out that it's a unchangeable mag and has to be top loaded. I was like, oh, I love that they've like used the Tarkov mechanics. Like, anyway, it's very funny. You load discs, plastic discs into the top that you can buy, and it does 1 damage, and it moves at 20 meters per second. There's no zeroing, so if you fire over about 20 meters, then the disc hits the floor. So it's not a very viable gun, in particular, but it is quite funny. I don't know why they added it. Maybe it was an April Fool's thing, but it came too late. I'm not sure. But yeah, that's quite upsetting. A couple of other things. We already talked about recall and memory being removed. Long line has been changed from 30 kills to 20. So it's now slightly easier to do that quest. Good. We said about the sorting table being moved and the footstep sound. So yeah, actually, maybe we touched on most of these things as we went along. So yeah, it was mainly the toy gun and like that little quest change. I don't think there was anything else. Maybe if I just quickly go, because there was a thread that he who must not be named, Mr. Logical, was posting about. Oh God, I know. Yeah, because he said like I'll be posting more on here as it's uncovered, but I think that was pretty. Yeah, I think that's it. I think that's it. I don't think there's much else. But yeah, the blicky was fun.
There's gonna be a blicky challenge, kill every boss with the blicky.
I saw Toast Rat kill a scav with it. Like, you have to hit them. If they're not damaged, you have to hit them 35 times in their head to kill them, right? Which is pretty insane. Given that it has 20 shots. Yeah, 20 shots. So you have to like hurt them first. You have to get some like spillover damage. You shoot them in the legs a load, and then you can into the head. You have to work out like what the meta for that is. And like how many shots do you need to get them to like 400 HP down? So they have like 40 left with a tiny bit on the head, and then you can shoot them like 5 times or something.
It goes in the pistol slot, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it does, yeah.
Okay. Maybe it's the ultimate secondary. It never jams. Think about it. The most disrespectful way to finish off your foe. Assert your dominance with the blicky.
Exactly. It sells to mechanic for 2,800 rubles.
Huh.
So at the minute it's 40k on the flea, and there was a barter for it, which is the one when I came on, it was like 300k.
Yeah. I figured it would be like that.
It barters for 1 Tetris, so I did that instead, but that was still 200 and something k. But yeah, it's obviously going to go down in price to like some stupid level. But you could almost take it in as, I want to like swap to different weapons. You can reload the RPD or something. Like there's almost something there. Like it's meta for
almost
like some random reason.
Yeah.
Because it's like 200 grams as well. So yeah.
Oh, the other thing,
like, slot trick.
The other thing I was wondering, is it like completely silent, like to the person that's hearing the gun go off? Like I was curious about that.
I don't really know. It makes the regular bullet impact sound, which is hilarious. Yeah. But I don't know about the gun itself. I mean, they would probably hear it because I mean, I don't know. I could, do the calculation or whatever, but like, I don't think you could be more than 40 meters away and actually hit the ground. Like, if you pointed up at 45 degrees, like at the optimal, like ballistic angle,
Right.
I don't think you could get it past like 40, 50 meters. Like, it's that extreme, the drop.
The other thing I wondered is it possible to shoot yourself in the video game with it? Because if it's projectile, could you aim up in the sky and catch the bullets?
I don't know, maybe. Because they drop real fast.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I actually don't know. I'm half tempted to try it now, but I don't want to do it because I'll mess up the
I almost wish there was some gimmick, I say almost, but like what if it had like a 1% crit chance, to like instantly kill the target or something.
It shot only, them in the eye.
Yeah, only in the head or something. Like you got like a 1% chance to hit them.
It got lodged in their throat and they died.
Hits their temple, burst, artery.
About can you shoot yourself? Towers just turned up in the chat, said, "I'll find out later." Let's give us some tower level research going on. Funny stuff. Okay, cool. So yeah, that's all the thing. That's all the things. What I've been looking at recently, I was like, playing around on a few different maps, did a bit of woods, did a bit of ground zero, did a bit of like this, that, and the other. And what I've been trying to do since then, well, it's something I've been looking to do for a bit actually, which is to do some like boss kills. Because it's one thing that I just left completely this way, like not having to do Kappa. I just didn't do it. And I've hardly played Factory actually. I normally play Factory quite a lot. And I've like literally not killed a boss yet. Which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, except for Kollontai. He was the only one. And I got his quest done randomly on streets just because I was like there. But yeah, I hadn't even seen Tagilla. I'd seen Tagilla maybe one time as a scav on Factory. And outside of that, like I hadn't seen him. So I was like, okay, well, let's go and do this. Like halfway through, I swapped over to playing Factory to go and, get some kills there. And it's been a while since I played Factory, and it was quite good actually. I quite enjoyed myself. It was good fun, just like running around, shooting people and stuff. It was good. And I found him twice. The first time he killed me, kind of because I played it stupid. I like stayed out too long, and you kind of where he was. I was doing the whole like throw a flash to hear his audio,
yeah,
and then figure out where he is. And then I kind of knew, and I sort of went out of cover way too far. I was like maybe a meter outside of cover, and then he saw me, and I tried to get back in, and I just got run in. And then next time it was a bit more obvious, and I just pre-fired him, and he died. And what did I kill him with? I think I killed him with the MP7. The MP7 was like shredding on Factory, by the way. But that was quite fun. I don't want to just like kill each boss once. I want to go and like farm him a bit, and then because I want to actually maybe make some content out of it and be like, okay, like here's the strategy, like see what other people are doing as well, like make my own video about it, like my experience. Because most people who are killing the bosses are super chads, and my stuff's normally they're like, as an average person, here's how you go and do the thing. So we'll see how that goes. Like I don't know, I don't have like hard and fast ideas of how I'm going to do it yet because I just want to like do the thing first and then see. But it could be interesting. So we'll start with Tagilla because he's just the most consistent to find because he's going to be on the map somewhere.
Yeah.
And then probably never get around to Killer because he's a pain and the whole process is just painful. Same thing with the goons. So we'll see. I'll probably start with him. Then I might do, I don't know who to do second. Maybe like Sturman because he's always in the same place at least. Like it's hard to kill him, but at least he's always there. Like, if he's going to be there, he's always in the same place. But yeah, I like to put a question out onto Twitter just now of being like who do you think is the easiest boss to kill? And lots of people do agree with Tagilla. I think like there's kind of two parts to it, right? There's like the killing them part, and then there's the finding them part. There's definitely two halves to it, which you've experienced the harsh end of by doing the whole Kappa thing and trying to find Killer, trying to find the goons. Like the goons would be fine if you had a guaranteed way of finding them, right? I probably think that Tagilla on balance probably is the easiest to kill, especially now. He used to not necessarily be that, but now that you can shoot around the plates and he has like one of the worst armors on in the game, he isn't that hard to kill, even with something that historically you'd struggle with, right? Like the MP7, I was just going for the jaw area, like just underneath the jaw, because you can get him like his helmet doesn't defend the neck, but it also doesn't defend the top of the thorax either, because it's just got a class 6 plate in it and nothing above, because I think there is soft armor, but it's only on the plate area. And when I killed him, he had a CQCM. So that didn't actually save him either, because I had FMJ in MP7. So, like, do you think it's Do you think it's Tagilla? Like, what do you think in your experience fighting bosses?
I don't know. It's kind of hard to pick one because it's like, if I say Rashala off the basis that he has no armor, but like he has guards, so like that's like I'm sure that's not what you mean when you say which is the easiest boss. I don't think you
Well,
literally
I'm
mean the singular entity,
no, I mean kind of just in general. Like this,
right?
it's a kind of nebulous like question, really. But it's like, who is like if you get the task to kill X,
Mm-hmm.
like who is that the hardest for? Like it's probably Killer, right, and the goons. But then who's the easiest? It's like the finding part of Together is so easy that it probably skews the rest of the conversation.
Yeah, but that's the thing is like the finding part a part of the equation to kill. Like this, I mean, I guess it is because you have to find the kill him, but like once you find them, like if you remove the finding part and you're just talking like quote unquote 1v1, um, I don't know. Who, yeah, I don't know who would be the easiest because it's maybe I don't know. Maybe Sanitar. I feel like I have the least trouble with Sanitar.
Hmm.
Like he only has a couple of guards, and then he himself is kind of just like derpy. Maybe he's like
He
healing.
likes to heal.
Yeah, and like he has like the feels like he often has a Keter, so like he's like practically he's like not a huge threat. Sometimes I'll have a
Hmm.
VSS with like decent ammo, but usually they're like 20 rounders.
Yeah, I feel like recently because Sabotage used to be like like a nightmare. People used to
Mm.
hate him, and he was sat around, especially in the kind of villas area, and he'd like shoot you through the fences and stuff, and you just
Yeah,
get
the
like
villas
laser beam.
area is kind of scary for sure.
People just used to hate Sanatar. Like he'd like beam you across the map. It was like crazy. Because I feel like these days, I don't feel like he's that bad. Like I'm definitely no like Sanatar killer. He was like one of the bosses for a long time that I just literally never killed. And I feel like the last like this wipe and like the last wipe, I feel like anytime I kind of meet him, I end up just winning. And I'm definitely not an experienced Sanatar killer. So like I can kind of see that in some ways. Like yeah, there's only like 3 guards maybe at most. And is it always 3? I can't remember. Is it sometimes 2, sometimes 3, or is it always 3?
I'm
I
not
I
sure.
don't remember.
I thought it was 2, but maybe it's 3. I'm not
But he
sure.
gives you some quite large windows to kill him in because of the whole he's like uses all his stims and uses the grizzly to heal and all this stuff. So there's like quite a lot of like the AI gets locked into these healing animations
Mm-hmm.
quite readily, and I don't know if they cancel. I don't think they do. So they can get like really stuck. It's quite interesting. But yeah, I guess like yeah, if you're like you're there at the compound and you know he's there, then he's not too bad. Like to get us annoying because sometimes he just kills you like really
Yeah,
fast.
yeah. That's why, like Tagil is probably the easiest to like find. Obviously.
Mm.
But I don't know if he's like the easiest to kill because it's like you may sometimes I feel like I get into a false sense of overconfidence. It's like, oh, he's gonna pull out his hammer and charge at me. It's like, wait, he's shooting at me. Wait, no, this isn't that supposed to. No, no. So, which I haven't been able to find him this swipe when I was grinding it. Just I guess unlucky, or like the one times he did spawn, he was already killed and looted, so it's like kind of hard. But yeah, I don't know. I probably would say Sanitar. I mean, like I feel like Sturman's kind of scary. I don't know if he's like actually that difficult, but he's just scary.
Yeah.
You just don't know. Like if his guards are shooting, for example, it's like you may not even realize. You may think it's a player and not really think it's a guard
Mm.
shooting at you, and that could like throw you off.
Yeah, and
Uh,
sometimes you peek Sturman and he just kills you.
yeah, like I don't know.
I guess that's the thing about Rashala is that you fight him in like quite
Uh,
tight areas normally.
yeah, yeah,
So you can usually, especially if it's like dorms or something, you can usually take the guards like one at
yeah.
a time. They're annoying, right? And they will usually get 1 or 2 shots off on you, but you can kind of move back or heal or whatever. You normally don't have to fight like 5 of them simultaneously or anything like that. And then when you get to Resh, he's hiding in the corner and you just kill him
Hmm.
by pre-firing him, and that's pretty easy.
Yeah, the only
That's interesting.
reason I didn't pick him was because I think his guards and like with the way the ammo availability economy is now, like if you run into a guard with an ulted, like or even a LZSH, like they could take some headshots if you're depending on what ammo you're using, so it can be a little scary.
Yeah, that's true. Because I was thinking about that kind of mix quite a lot before going in, being like, okay, what are we actually going to use to kill this guy?
Mm-hmm.
And like I feel like we can get away with something lower these days than we used to be able to before the rig was like class 6 across the whole area, and then the class 5 helmet. That was like kind of crazy times. But you still have to be a little careful. Like in the past, like an MP7 was normally a death sentence for Tagilla. But this wipe, it's like, okay, well, high RPM plus 40 pen ammo, that's actually fine.
Yeah.
As long as I hit him in the right area. And because the recoil changed, like they're so much more controllable than they were.
That's true. Yeah.
Can't remember what I used the first time. I think I might have been in AK, but it's probably too slow fire rate. I probably made a mistake there. But I know some people just go for like high caliber and shoot them. But you're playing factory too. You got to kill the other people, right? I did like so much PvP just trying to get into position where he was there. And so many raids where I threw a nade and then another one. And I'm just like, I don't think he's here. Like, have a listen around. Someone else throws a grenade. It's like, okay, no voice lines, nothing. Like, I guess he's not here then. I'm kind of interested actually about the whole voice lining thing, because the flashbang or like use a grenade throw technique is pretty similar for all of the bosses.
Yeah.
That you throw the nade and then you know where they are, you echolocate them and then like home in. That's how people do killer, right? And I'm sort of intrigued to try him about in offline a bit, just to see his like behavior. If I throw a grenade here, does he always shout? Because I know that he's always there then. I'm not trying to like test in live.
Yep.
Because sometimes if he's there but he doesn't shout, then I won't know and I'll just leave. So I'm intrigued to test that out a bit, just see if it's that's the case or not. Like I've definitely had like one time where I got killed by colonized guards. I threw a grenade down into the end of the military academy and they just didn't move. They just didn't move at all. I was just like who is like, are they down there? Like, are they not down there? Like went in, I was just like, oh crap, and then like two of them just like pushed onto me, warped through each other, and then killed me. And I was like, that's so annoying. But I just want to check whether he's like 100%, whether he always shouts every time and if you throw two, does he shout again? Like, what's the deal? Because I don't know 100% yet. But I need to watch some other people's content as well.
I'd be interested to hear your results, because I've heard mixed results. So I'd be interested.
Yeah. Funny, smoke grenades also work as well as flashes, but people don't want to use those because it's like kind of funny. But I feel like that might almost be quite entertaining. Did I tell you I used smokes the other day?
On
for the
streets
first time?
where
No, I used them. Oh, I did use them on the streets when it bugged out, but I used them on interchange. I started in Emacom, and I like moved sort of along the edge of the map, like towards, I guess, like not the power station direction. I moved the other way. Kind of, it's like you're very exposed, and I started getting shot at and ended up having to like run down into the road with all the cars, and I chucked two smokes out and then managed to escape, and I was like, yeah, this actually worked, because like people, as a lot of people said, they're like so confused when they see the smokes go off. They're just like, because like nobody ever uses them.
Yeah.
So it's really confusing. I brought, I think I brought 3 with me, something like that. But that was it. I didn't bring any frags. I should, if I'm using smokes, I probably should like bind a frag.
It's just so annoying that you have to bind it.
I know, the binding is so frustrating. It's so frustrating. Like, I wish it was the old way, right? Where you had your frags at the front and the smokes at the back, and you could bind the smoke, because you don't need the smoke instantly, but you do need the frags instantly. I guess I could put smokes in my backpack, but
how would you
then equip it? I wish that there was like, I always wish there was like a right click, like use on the grenades in your backpack.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Because then you could just pull a smoke out.
Right.
Without having, because at the minute, it either has to be in the rig and I press G, or I have to press the hotkey. There was no other way. Like, I can't just drag it in. I can't double click it. I can't put it in a weapon slot. There's no slot for it. Like there is.
I hate.
There's no hands for it, is there?
I hate to like suggest this again, but I just feel like you press G. You press G to pull out a grenade at random, or you can like hold or double tap G to then open up a wheel, and the wheel is dynamic in that it recognizes what grenades and you have available to your character, and you just move it around, select the ones. If you want to smoke, you go to the smoke section. You want to flash, you go to flash 7. If you want to impact, go to impact section. If you want M67, that would just,
or like the heal system and the mag system, hold G, scroll with the wheel.
Oh
like,
yeah, that'd be good too. Yeah. That'd be great.
It's not quite as neat, but like it's already in the game. So
yeah. No, scratch that. That's scratch the wheel idea. This is like perfect. Shoe in. It's like because the wheel might be too like, whoa, I'm triggered. My immersion. It's not realistic. What is this, Fortnite?
Built a huge tower 50 feet up out of pure shock.
God.
So So yeah, Zarya boss farming. I think that's the way.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. After the kill, I want to kill him a few more times. I want to test him out offline a bit. I'm gonna go and watch some other people's stuff, figure out a few things, and then I don't know. Like maybe I will try Sturman next, just because it's the finding part of the bosses that annoys me, not necessarily the fighting them.
Yeah.
Like yeah, fighting them is toxic sometimes, but I'd rather like get a chance to fight them and then
Mm-hmm.
die and learn something than I would farm the map 20 times and never see
Yeah.
them. Like that's the
Yeah.
worst part about it by a long way. So I'm probably going to go in
Absolutely.
like in order of searchability first, more than anything else. Like I feel like it was interesting. A couple of people on my post mentioned Gluhar.
Mm-hmm.
It's quite intriguing. I've always found Gluhar quite hard as a solo, but I think there's probably strategy for it. Like you kind of know where they are, and you just need a big mag, and because they do rush you and stuff, so you got to be able to kill quite a few AI. Because what's it like 7 or something? It's a lot.
Yeah,
But
there's a lot. 5
but like you
maybe.
can find them quite easily. There's lots of them running around, and I mean Gluhar himself actually can kill you quite quickly because sometimes he has an Ash 12, and then especially now he hits you in the soft armor, and boom,
Mm.
out you go. It's a real pain. But yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. I'm not sure like who I'll pick. I'm actually just going to bring up the list. Where's the? I did have a. Oh, I don't have it up anymore. Like the goons and Tagilla, like, I'm sorry, and Killer obviously at the bottom. What we got? We got yeah, Kollontai. He's on Ground Zero now or on streets. I already have killed him once though, so like he doesn't seem that scary actually. Like Kollontai seems kind of alright. The only thing about Kollontai actually is that he has that like when he pulls the baton out. I didn't know about this. I literally didn't know until chat told me. He has this like your gun jams thing, like Zerachi did in that event.
Yeah.
You get the status effect panic,
Yeah.
and your gun jams when you're near him, so he can just like beat you to death. Like, what's that about?
I'm just glad that he's not part of any Kappa quest because yeah, I don't know. This is very very interesting. I'm actually kind of like almost upset that you fought him and killed him with your RPD that can't jam. I'm like, God,
Yeah,
he's so lucky. Because if it was me, it would have like jammed instantly. It's just like,
yeah. You need to like use the PPSH,
yeah,
the revolver shotgun,
right,
the RPD. Like, oh, how many other guns can't jam in Tarkov? Like, I think it's basically those three,
yeah,
really, and the revolver, like the Rhino. Anything
hmm
that's a non-standard magazine or
that
not a shotgun seems to work.
revolver shotgun, I guess.
Yeah, basically any revolver and any open bolt gun.
Hmm
Those are the ones that don't. And so I got really lucky finding him with the. I actually went back and looked at the clip, and I didn't have the panic status
hmm
effect. So I think I was just like it was touch and go. I must have been just outside the radius because I've seen clips of other people dying to this panic status effect, and he's been like in military academy. They've been outside on the stairs, and he's inside, and the effect is like radiated through the wall.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
you can see as they run along, they suddenly get the status effect but don't notice because there's
yeah.
no other indication that you're
Right,
panicking,
right.
right? Like what the hell? I hate that. And then he comes through the door and just like starts beating this guy to death with the truncheon. It's like, oh my god, like what is this? And people were obviously very surprised at the beginning. But because I wasn't boss farming or anything, I hadn't really seen anyone talk about it until then. And yeah, killed him with the RPD, which is like the best gun for it. But other than that, like whole jamming situation, he doesn't seem too bad to kill. His guards aren't like terrible. There's not that many of them, and he's like, I think he's just wearing like some horrible police riot helmet on his head,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
he's not the worst. And he's also relatively easy to find too, because he's either in military academy or inside the whatever you call it, the Klimov Trading Center, the shopping
The
center
shopping
thing.
mall, yeah.
So it's not too bad. And like people don't normally go there really. Like they do sometimes, but actually, you know what? They might do now. Actually, that's reminded me of another thing which I was going to say, which is that the Rusted Bloody Keys are back apparently.
Oh, nice. They fixed
So now
that.
you can find it on the pegboard underneath the escalator in the Klimov Trading Center.
Nice.
So I say people aren't going there. Well, that was probably why. Now people are probably going to be going back there to go and find the Rusted Bloody Key so they can do the quest the door. Because that was the key that we talked about
Yep.
historically that doesn't go in your secure container. It has to go on your body. You have to do the quest basically without putting it in your secure at any point. So it's a bit of an annoying one. But it is spawning again. Apparently there is some loot spawning back in the room because the room also had its loot pool removed for some reason.
Hmm.
I don't really know. So yeah, maybe best shot is to go military academy. Like military academy is like not a hotspot, but it's
Not
between
really.
relaxation room and
Yeah.
green flare.
Right.
So it's kind of like it's in the area that people go,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not necessarily somewhere that people like target. So you can usually go and fight in there without being harassed if you're quick about it. There is like one okay room in there. I had like a
Yeah.
couple of loot runs on the military room key door, which was nice.
It was like MVD key or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, MVD Academy or something like that. And there was one run I did, which was like, oh, golden egg, like roller, like also. I was like, wow, this room's great. And then I did
Yeah.
like 3 more runs where it's just like, here, have your kvass. I'm like, okay. So it wasn't that consistent, but yeah. So I don't think that's necessarily. I don't think he's too bad per se.
The one thing
So
I do want to
yeah,
say is I feel like they were so close on like his execution because I watched Willers, fight him in like a
mm,
YouTube video once. And, as you pointed out, you don't get any indication besides the little on the top left pop up that you're panicking. But I think that's probably somewhat deliberate because they want you to actually panic, like your guns
yeah,
jam, which I kind of get, I get it. And they probably cooked this up and then someone played it and they all probably had a big laugh, like, this is great. Um, but the thing that's like, the problem, I think, or like, I don't know, I'll just say it. So Willers, you know, got the panic and actually panicked his gun jam. So he pulls out his melee. He's like, I'm gonna,
yeah,
let's go 1-on-1. But the way they have it coded, as soon as Colantine hits you once, you lose all of your stamina, both arm and legs, which kind of makes sense because they didn't want you to run away. Like in other words, you panic if it becomes too metagamey. You see him, your gun jams. Well, I'm just gonna outsprint him. But if he hits you, then like you can't outsprint him, right? So like I
yeah,
can kind of see the logic here. But because you lose both your arm and leg stamina, you no longer can well, I guess you can melee, but it's extremely slow. So then it's like the dynamic is like, well, what are you supposed to do? Like your gun jams, but then like if you try to fight him melee, then like you basically are like heavily gimped to fight him. Like
yeah.
it's like they were so close to having like a really unique boss encounter, but
I
I
think
don't
the
know.
idea is like, yeah, if you're solo, it sucks to suck and you die. I think that's the answer. Because if
True.
you've got teammates, like the radius is pretty small, so someone else can shoot him while he's like wailing on you,
Mhm.
and he doesn't kill you straight away either. I would say, like,
No,
it takes like a good sort of 8 hits, 10 hits, but it's fast, right? It's like bam, 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 bam. So it does kind of do the desired. It does have the desired effect, but it'd be more funny if they'd implemented
but
like a custom, like I guess you'd have to do it for every gun, like a custom like fumble animation, you know? And then
yeah.
you try to shoot or something happens. I don't really know, like the mag falls out or whatever. Like you shoot, I don't know, like it's something random happen. Like, that doesn't make any sense. I just said it off the top of my head, and it's
But
nonsensical. But that would have
but
been more
like
funny.
but I mean you bring a good point because like you would think you could just unjam your gum and shoot, but like you can't. It keeps jamming. So like I
Yeah,
don't know what you're supposed to. It sucks to suck, I guess. But yeah, that would be maybe your gun drops or maybe the mag drops or maybe
yeah. Your gun
maybe it
just
like
drops on the floor.
cycles different effects and you just I don't know. I
Your
don't
gun just
know.
falls into all the different pieces.
It
It just
disassembles itself.
like it just disassembles onto the
You have
floor.
to complete Gunsmith part 2026 now in raid. Assemble a weapon to kill Colin.
It's a quick time event.
Oh, press E to insert gas block. Oh, I'm
Yeah.
smashing E.
Oh man. Yeah, it's close. I can see what they're doing, but it's like it's
Yeah,
kind of weird at the same time. Like the way that you interact with it's very strange. There's not really any counterplay.
I'm not
Like
sure what
once,
they could do, but I feel like if they tweaked it just a bit, it could actually be really fun.
yeah, yeah.
Because
No, I don't know.
it would be funny if like you basically had to like 1v1 knives only, bro. Him,
Mm,
meet
yeah.
me at the academy 1v1. Let's settle this knives only.
Yeah, it would almost be better if you could. I don't know. Yeah, if you applied like a slow effect or something to you, but
Ooh, that'd be good. Or
but you
maybe,
still had your stamina.
yeah, maybe they just need to code it. I don't know if it's possible. Maybe it just needs to like remove only your leg stamina, and then that would be like a
Oh yeah,
bit
that would work.
acceptable, like a bit more
Yeah,
accept. I feel like because it's like you get so penalized. I don't know. Maybe it's fine. Maybe
Colin
once
turns
you,
into Legion Commander basically. Duel me 1-on-1.
That's so funny.
It's all Dota now. It's all
Winner
Dota now.
gets permanent +2 damage to all their damage output.
You opened up a whole can of
Colantine
something.
scales infinitely now.
Oh my god! Can you
Late
imagine?
wipe, he just one taps you. All right, enough fan fiction. What?
So who else is there? We didn't talk about Caban. I mean, he's always in the same place, but obviously his area is like so highly contested.
Yeah.
That's the main issue with him. It's just hard to get in whilst fighting like 4 other PMCs. Like everybody, I've done all the gunsmiths up until 25, but obviously you need the PKP. He doesn't always spawn with the PKP in classic BSG style. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I'll get onto him. I'm not sure. And then yeah, let's not talk about Killer and the goons. It's just a crazy
like to see you try
kind of situation.
Kill it.
Oh my god, it would just be so bad. Honestly, just going into interchange over and over and over and over and over and over sounds like the worst thing ever. Like in some ways, at least the goons. You could try on different maps. You could try in different areas.
There's some variety there.
Yeah, you'll probably get into some interesting fights doing it. Like that's probably okay. But just, I feel like the way the interchange plays out, it's like going to be me running through. I mean, at least the lighting's a bit better. So it's going to be me running through the darkness. And because of how big it is and how much area you need to cover, you're just going to run into the 5 different people set up in the 5 different areas, and then just get like SR25'd out of the darkness. I just feel like that's just going to happen to me over and over. I don't think it's going to set up interesting fights or anything like that. It's just going to be me sucking and just getting killed on interchange.
Yeah, it's a bit like that. I mean, you'll also have other people running around the map like headless chickens, throwing flashes everywhere.
That's true, actually. It's not just you, is it? Yeah.
Yeah, but you will. Yeah, who knows what people are doing with interchange? Is kind of the.
Did you find you died to like lots of people just doing like playing normally on interchange, or not so much? Did you play like super cautiously or just like proper?
Oh, if he was there, I was just running around like a maniac. I mean,
I get, but you could tell because of the doodad, right? The
doodad, yeah. So it's very binary.
Yeah, the desync bug thing in the corner,
right?
Another annoying problem. That
if he wasn't there, then yeah, I would definitely play more cautious for sure.
Did you just extract?
Sometimes it kind of depends what I was going for. Like,
yeah,
sometimes I would stay and just kill PMCs for long line or whatever quest I was doing. Yeah. Sometimes I would just loot up, try to get fat. Sometimes I would just reset. It really, I think once I started getting to the 50th attempt, I started resetting a lot faster. Like run through resets, like get me out of this hellhole. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you think it would be like the desync bug? For anyone who's not aware, like, what's the exact status of it now? Because you used it a lot this way, right? Like, you go into raid, if you get the packet loss, like desync icon in the top corner, like it's 10 seconds in or something. I can't remember when the timing is.
It's like 30
or 30 seconds.
23 seconds. It might even vary on map. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it varies map to map. I'm actually not sure about it at the minute, so it's another thing I'm gonna have to look into. But you get this like packet loss icon in the corner, and if that happens, it means that the boss is not there because it means scavs are spawning in at their normal time. Whereas I think if the boss is there because he's already there at the beginning, I think scavs will also spawn in at the beginning, something like that. There's some reason given. Who knows whether it's real or not? But anyway, it's pretty tried and tested that if he's on the map, then the packet loss thing won't happen. So if that got removed so that you couldn't tell, do you think that would make the boss hunting experience better or worse? Because in some ways it's like quite nice to know that he's there. On interchange in particular, I think. Because the other maps you can kind of take it or leave it, right? But like it matters so much on interchange.
I'll say playing the game naturally, quote unquote, it's a better experience. I think it's like much more interesting to, be doing whatever you're doing on a particular map, like customs, you're bumbling around and you happen upon gas station and then suddenly there's Rashala there and you're like, oh crap, I wasn't anticipating this. How am I going to deal with, it's a much more interesting experience versus I spawned in, I'm doing this one particular thing and this is the only thing I'm doing. Check, he spawned or he didn't spawn. it's like too binary. It's like it
Yeah.
reduces the game to, but if that's the only thing you care about, like in Kappa, it is objectively better to know because you you feel like you're not wasting your time, I guess. Like I
It's
feel
almost like the bad mechanic of the way Kappa runs
yeah.
plays hand in hand with the bad bug, which is the packet loss bug, which both work together to make the experience of running for Kappa better.
Mhm.
But if Kappa was like, I don't know, if the boss spawn rate was better designed and the bug was gone, then the game would be better overall.
Yeah.
But because of the way the boss hunt is designed, the like the packet loss bug actually feels almost necessary. Like it's nice to have because it's like the process is so soul crushing.
Right. It would just like be such a non-issue if they didn't do this weird manual boss spawn scaling throughout the wipe. If it was just like 20% throughout the entire wipe and you got the quests relatively early, most of them to do the stuff, it'd be like a non-issue. And I just feel like it's like I don't understand why they do it the way they do. I mean, I guess they want to like gatekeep gear arbitrarily for in this arbitrary way. Like for me, like we said it before, but it would just be really exciting to go kill Rashala and his guards, and maybe I don't even kill them all. Maybe I'm just gonna get out with these 2 guards gear because it's like huge at this stage in a wipe. Whereas now it's like, oh, okay, I killed the guards. I'm not gonna use any of this, but I'm gonna flea market everything and upcharge the Timmies who want to make their AKs look cool with their extra 3 recoil reduction for their muzzle devices and whatever. It's like it's not the same.
Yeah, that's interesting. We'll see. Oh, I don't know if they'll ever get rid of it because people have been talking about it for a long time, but I just don't think it's a priority for them because it's not like game breaking. It doesn't really affect anybody unfairly against anyone else. Everyone can see it. So it's like it's not even like the footstep bug, right? The footstep bug is like critical audio requiring patch, right? Whereas like the glitch is kind of annoying, but just changes the game a bit, and that's sort of it. Yeah. Well, anyway, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. I'm gonna carry on farming Tagilla for a bit. Start with him. Move on to someone else. We'll see. It could be fun. I've enjoyed it so far. Like as long as I'm playing maps I like, then I don't mind so much. Like even just running around PvPing on Factory was fun anyway. Like getting back into that. Like even if Tagilla wasn't there, it's like okay, we just like run around and kill some people, and it was quite good. And it felt good actually. Like especially because Factory's like the closest to Arena in terms of like distances and things. And even after not playing much Factory this wipe, I was like, oh, this felt quite good actually. After playing Arena for reasonable amount of time, not a ton, but like a bit. So yeah, I don't know. Looking forward to it. Maybe I'll just play Factory. Who knows?
I guess we're running low on time, but I'll just briefly mention a couple of games. I guess a game. So one of my friends in my friend group is like always feels like he's always got a new game that he's like, guys, they're doing a beta. We should totally play this, which I love. And he's like super up to date on like everything. What's that one game that we Great Zone. Um, but this game is I didn't get the chance to play it, which is an excellent thing because so it's like a mech extraction shooter. It's
What's it
called
called?
Synduality. Okay, and I'll throw up a video here. So it's from I guess Bandai Namco. I don't know if they're like actually I don't know who the developer is. I think Bandai's the publisher. Maybe they are the developer. I'm not sure, but it's the most cursed thing ever because it's a distraction shooter that's like involves mechs. It's mecha, but it's like it's I just can't get over this. It's so like geared for like weeaboos effectively because you have a little anime girl that's like floating outside of your mech and is like your companion and like casts like they have like super high, like high quality renders of them like casting spells and stuff. And like you get when you go back to like the hub world, you could like they're like resting in like a tank of water, like a barrel of water, and it's just
Okay.
like it's just like, and there's so much customization here. Like you can use, and it's of course it's loaded with microtransactions. Like it's like such a gotcha game, right? Like if like you're just down real bad, like this is the game for you, you know. But I just love it because it's just I don't know, it's just so funny. The one weird thing that like turned them off instantly, that you know, besides the weird, well, I don't know about everyone in that group. Some of them bit filthy degenerates might have liked some of the anime girl stuff, but the main drawback was you couldn't play in. It was solo only. You couldn't squat up, which was
Oh,
really
at all?
weird.
Is that like
Yeah,
a
at
game design
all.
thing, or is that because it's
A
in
game
like
design
open
thing.
beta or whatever? Oh, weird.
Yeah, I don't. Maybe they'll change it, but
Hmm.
that was weird. But yeah. Anyways, it's got the traditional extraction. I watched like a review of it because I was subscribed to this person's about my feed, and it did not get highly reviewed outside of the the stuff. Like there's a lot of like more technical issues, like the synchronization wasn't good, and um the hitboxes are so massive. Like if you look at this
Mm,
mech, it's not like your traditional mech size. It's very like
boxy.
boxy and big, so like it's like very easy to hit your targets, and the time to kill is pretty low, so it just wasn't really, it didn't sound like a great game. But I thought just as something as like, and a hilarious little thing to laugh at. I thought it was, some of you might enjoy it. I just couldn't get over, like I saw some of it's clear that the reviewers was like, they definitely spent a lot of resources into like these highly rendered cutscenes of your waifu and stuff.
It looks quite like the environment looks quite nice, I will say.
Hmm. Hmm.
Like it does look quite good, but in that sense. But as a lot of people have said, it's so easy to make stuff like that look good now. Actually, like a lot of these things can just be, you know, easily created to look amazing. It's like all about gameplay. But it's funny. Every man and their dog's trying to make an extraction shooter of one kind or another.
Yeah. Yeah.
But speaking of good games, though, you did mention to me that you had actually played Helldivers this week
Yeah.
before we started. We didn't delve in too much into it, but I was intrigued to see like how much have you played? How much did you play? Because I'm sure like a lot of
Let's
people in
see.
here probably have also played. I would imagine, but I don't know. I don't know what the number is, but I would guess at least 30% of people who listen would have played Helldivers. I imagine.
I have 5 hours.
Nice. You're just at the start of your Helldivers journey. Are you playing with like veterans though?
The Admiral, someone's like 73, level
Okay, yeah,
73.
they played a lot. Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
that's quite a lot.
Apparently they were already, hit the max prior to the patch set.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. I had a friend like that as well. He was just like, oh, he was level 50 or whatever, and then they added the patch where 'cause everyone thought it was an April Fool's joke, and I was like, that low key sounds actually quite good. Like change the max because it doesn't matter. Like you don't get anything at level 30,
Hmm.
but it's just like kind of a nice sort of thing to have. And he leveled to like 66 straight away after the patch. I was just like, mate, you play too much. Like, that being said, I just hit level 50 yesterday on Helldivers.
Nice.
But it's good though. It's very hard to explain. Like, it's so hard. This is what me and Church were talking about just
Yeah.
before the cast while we were setting up. I was saying like it's just so hard to explain to somebody that hasn't played it, like how good the game is and how like
Hmm.
cohesive the game is. Like it's very, even though it's like tongue in cheek and like it's a big Mickey take, and it's basically Starship Troopers the game combined with a load of other sci-fi tropes. It's like it's very engrossing. Like the world
Yeah.
building is actually just the way that it's done, right? It's like it's very immersive. The way the ships are, the soundtrack, the way things look out the front of the cockpit, like when you're moving from mission to mission, and the faster than light jump cutscene is amazing. Like with all the musical little flourishes or whatever. Like me and a friend, I've got a friend who's like well into music, and we were talking about the little pieces of music that remind you of the main theme or whatever. And he was just like, oh yeah, that's called like leitmotif, and they use it in all sorts of different things. It's when you hear like the Force theme in the background of someone speaking on Star Wars or whatever, and it's
Hmm.
kind of it's like it brings everything together with the music, and it's like immaculately done in Helldivers. It's amazing. And I
Yeah.
told you about this before, and you came to me and said, yeah, the music is really awesome, and there's like a lot of the experience. So yeah, it's good. It's good. Like we've enjoyed it so far, which is nice.
Oh yeah. I mean, my friend made me and watched me. Like I had to stream my Discord, play the tutorial, And like I'm kind of notorious for like, you know, not reading stuff and just skipping through things. You know, I want to like shoot gun, play game. I do not read. So I did the tutorial and it was just so comical and so like engaging that like it made the tutorial experience that much better. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
usually tutorials are just like such a drag, but this was like so comical and like fun to like, you know, when it's like you go up to the station, it's like now we're gonna learn about the medical system, and then your guy looks into the thing and he gets stabbed and is bleeding. It's like it's so funny.
Yeah.
And he's like, you know, you're a hell diver. Hell divers are invincible. Which clearly you're not. You're totally expendable.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. I think like the thing that's impressed me just in an ongoing basis, and I probably talk about Helldivers every week now, but like it's the ongoing kind of like storytelling that they've got with the player base and the fact that they've got this like DM style person who like controls everything. And it's as they bring stuff in, it's something that you know, I've wanted the BSG guys to do more. And we've talked about this for literally years, like since we very first started this podcast. But like Helldivers does it, you know, they introduce things. They say like, oh, you know, there's 2 missions, or you have to go and defend this place to bring the new item in. Like they're going to bring it in, you know, eventually. But like to say we have to go and defect the manufactories on this particular planet, and then you'll get the mech walker. Like you know, staking the players in or whatever. And it's like, you know, we've taken these worlds, and like this is what's going to happen next. And then like, oh no, now there's like, you know, gunships are turning up and stuff. It's like it feels like you're part of this like huge story that's kind of developing as time goes on. And we, again, we talked about this years ago with like Fortnite, for example, which, you know, not that I played back then, but you know, I read about like the whole history of how the ongoing story went on and how they ended the seasons, and everyone was like trying to, you know, speculate on what was going to happen next. Like that kind of thing really keeps the player base invested in the game. And it's actually crazy. Like if you look at Steam charts for Helldivers, I think at one point it's obviously only Steam because they've got either PlayStation. They've got one. Is it PlayStation? I can't remember. I think it's maybe PlayStation. Oh yeah, because it's Sony, but behind. Oh wait, no, it's that different game. Anyway, doesn't matter. So I think, you know, we're just looking at Steam users, but even when it was in its like peak, I think it was at the all-time peak is like 460,000. Like it's after like nearly 2 months.
That's a lot.
Yeah, but it's like half of the peak.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. Like it's insane. That's like really high retention for a game that went sort of like semi-viral. Like obviously it didn't go as viral as something like Palworld, but if you look at Palworld now, there's like on a percentage basis, the fall off is like very extreme. Now they're different games, right? We talked previously about how these guys said we don't have any more content for you or whatever, but they had like 2 million at one point, and it's down to like what is it, 100K or something? It's been like 50K until recently, and then 120 now.
That's not too bad.
Which is not too bad.
Yeah.
Which is not
That's
too
actually
bad.
a lot better than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, like it was. Yeah, it's actually not terrible. But no, it's just interesting, like how many people they still have playing. I mean, we'll see as time goes on, but because they're like constantly introducing content, like there's another. There is like you do pay for Helldivers. It's like £35. I think it's probably like $40 or something. But there is like also microtransactions in that game too, which unlock certain things. They're not necessary, but they're kind of fun. But because you can get like super credits in the game, you don't actually need to pay if you don't want to. And it kind of just adds to the, I guess just adds to the progression or the grind or whatever. Like you can, you know, you unlock more stuff. Because I have like 2 friends who paid for the super credits stuff, like the first one at least, and then the rest of us that didn't. And it ended up not really mattering. Like now, so I'm level 50 now. I think they did tone down the super credits a bit. Like you were getting a lot more, I think, right at the beginning. But even still, I've unlocked, and you get super credits when you unlock like the, you know, just going through the lists of the different like hierarchies of weapons and whatever. I've unlocked both like war bonds, they're called, which, you know, allow you to spend like the currency that you get at the end of each mission, which you normally have to pay for with premium currency. I've got both of them playing free to play. Like I haven't bought anything from like the, you know, super credits or whatever. And the number in game has allowed me to unlock both of them by the time I'm level 50, and I've still got some extra to spare. So it feels like kind of fair. It's like, yeah, if you want to skip that and get access to it early, then you can. If you don't want to, like, you can still get it in game. Like it's not locked off. It feels okay.
Yeah,
and it's more about variety.
I wasn't a fan of paying for a game and then also be installed
Yeah.
microtransactions. But I guess, I play Tarkov, so make of that what you will. But because of the reviews have been so good and my friends have been, asking me to play, I was like, okay, fine, I'll do this. And yeah, I mean, I think it's worth, as far as like buying the game. Microtransactions seems very, optional. And as you said, it's like I don't think I'll be buying. I mean, who knows? Anything's possible. Maybe I'll end up buying something at some point. But right now, it's just like it's just
Yeah, you
fun.
don't need to, especially early on. Like, it's
Yeah,
only
you
maybe if
definitely
you want a
don't.
bit more variety, and if you haven't like farmed up the super credits for it, which seems unlikely to me, to be honest.
Yeah, it feels like it's mostly geared for whales, as far as I could tell. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
I only got 5 hours in, but yeah,
yeah,
which
yeah,
is
yeah,
like fine by me. Whales are going to be whales. It's whatever.
exactly.
Make
And that's the thing
make your
because it's
money.
like
This game's
because
good.
because you can do it outside of that, and it's not really like a problem. It's not like you're super hamstrung by not doing it or whatever. It's like okay,
Yeah.
I don't really care. Like I kind of enjoyed because I could see the progression. It was quite quick. Like I played 90 hours now, and as I said, I've got both things that you can like. I've got all the super credits I farmed in the game, and I've got both things
Hmm.
unlocked that you can pay for with real money.
Oh, nice.
So it's like it's not
Yep.
it's not like it feels eminently doable. It's like another resource
Yeah.
to go and like grind for if you're like as you're progressing, which is kind of cool. So like it feels sort of fair. Like the only one that I think is like slightly pay to win is the second premium
Hmm.
war bond. There's a gun in there which is it might even be the first gun, which is the God, what's it called? It's not the last sight, it's the other one. But it's that one's that one is extremely good. It does seem really good. I think it's like slightly overpowered, but it's like that's one of the newest guns in the game. So they are
Yeah.
like
Which
tweaking
like
stuff constantly.
stuff like that, I feel like it's
So
gonna be inevitable. But at the end of
yeah.
the day, real like at most you're paying to like make the co-op experience easier. You know what I mean? It's not
Yeah,
like
and
I'm
it's not
going against this
PvP.
person, so it doesn't
Exactly.
feel, you know what I mean? It's like now
Yeah.
if it's like the only way you could complete something by buying this one premium thing, then yeah, that's gonna suck. But
Yeah.
I highly doubt that's gonna be the case.
Well, that's the thing, because like all of the stuff that you can buy is all like primary and secondary guns. Like you can't
Right,
buy any
right.
strategies. There's no stratagems behind the pay to win.
Hmm.
So you have to grind in game for all of those. And the same
Hmm.
thing for the ship unlocks. That's like you have to go in game and get the stuff. And to even unlock the things, you have to get medals from winning missions. And you have to, even with the premium thing, you have to unlock those with medals. You have to decide whether to do the premium one or the normal one. Like that's probably the last one that you do actually. Like the ultimate thing is that winning, because it feels like the other stuff is like more important. Like you really want money at first, and then you want samples, and then after that you kind of just end up needing medals. Just need loads and loads of medals because the stuff ends up being expensive. And I think even my friend who's like level 60 something, I don't think he's unlocked all of the medal stuff. Like even now. Um, so yeah, it doesn't feel too bad, but dude, it's good. Yeah, the sickle. That's it. The last sickle. Someone in chat's got me there. The last sickle is extremely powerful. But yeah, they keep balancing stuff and it's good fun. I like the ongoing storytelling of the game. It's great. Like being able to drop in and out is fantastic.
Yeah.
Join people while they're playing is
Yeah.
brilliant. Like it's so much fun. And the fact that it's open world, like I had a very long conversation with somebody about like Dark Tide and the differences with Dark Tide. But I think for me, like people like different things, obviously. There's
Hmm.
personal preference, but Dark Tide's like very linear. Because Helldivers is just like an open map. You can do what you want. You can all split up, you can stay together. There's
Hmm.
like advantages
Yeah.
and disadvantages for doing both of those things. It feels like you can make a strategy and then
Yeah.
go in with that strategy. And it's like it is very strategic in that sense. As opposed to Dark Tide, it feels like very tactical. Like you have to kind of stay together. You can't really split apart. There's mechanics in Dark Tide which you get bonuses for being near each other specifically.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
very difficult to be apart. Like you can, but it's like it's really, really hard and you're better off as a force most of the time.
Right.
Whereas in Helldivers feels a bit more like fluid, I think, and you're
Bit
like,
more
okay,
free form.
we can actually have like an overarching strategy to our game, whereas like Dark Tide's more mechanical and more about like, yeah, optimizing the build that you use per se.
Hmm.
Whereas in Helldivers, it's like, you kind of, it's more just like how you react to those things. Like you can kind of use any loadout, sort of. Like it's, I don't know, it's a different vibe, but it's interesting. It's interesting and cool.
Yeah, on the topic of world building, I almost feel like there's like a dangerous territory where you can like feel hyper compelled to play the game, because it's like, oh my god, I gotta liberate planet Zoran or whatever for the
Mm.
for, to get the, you know what I mean? It's like some weird
You want to see the progression. You want to be part of it.
Yeah, and you feel like you're a part of something like real, but like it's a video game, so like it's not, it's not real, but like you feel like it,
But there's hundreds of other, thousands of other people
I
also
know. It's
doing
like
it,
I
and
gotta
there's
do my duty for my country. Wait, what?
yeah, it's crazy. Like the Reddit and just like the ongoing community and the way people talk about the game is like
Mhm.
really funny. So there was the really early on, there was the planet Malevelon Creek, which is where a lot
Oh
of the
my god, I've heard the
memes
memes.
came from,
Yeah.
right? Because people were saying like it's basically like space Vietnam. It's like a forested kind of planet, and people played there a lot, and we ended up like losing the planet at one point. Um, but then there's like multiple different campaigns because you can go to kind of like any planet that you like within the sort of connectivity of like one planet hops to the next kind
Mhm.
of deal.
Mhm.
And that was open for ages. And there was like a significant portion of the player base playing there, and there was like a major order to do something. I can't remember which one it was. It was like to go and take one planet or whatever. But because like and the devs said this themselves, they're like, because 25% of the player base is playing like Malevolent Creek, even though it's not necessarily like strictly part of the major order. We ended up like losing the major order, and like people on Reddit like now dub them as creekers, the people who literally just main Malevolent Creek and don't leave. And it's just like it's
That's
just really
so
funny. It's
funny.
just like and I think somebody else even posted just like how like the way that the organic storytelling has ended up going, making it even more like Space Vietnam, like because of people's insistence to go there because of some kind of like psychological victory,
Yeah.
even though it's not an important strategic target. We ended up losing somewhere else. Like it's just like, how did this even happen out of emergent gameplay? Like the community has ended up creating this kind of like weird story of like people who are just like diehard Malevolent Creek fans and won't play anywhere else. And like it's just so funny. I just love the way that it's developed.
Yeah, but see, I love that. Like that's like such a untapped area in gaming. Like this whole like social interaction and
Mm.
like this like development, and it's like it's almost like reactionary. The community does one thing and the game like sort of reacts and it becomes its own thing. Like
Hmm.
it's so interesting and intriguing. I just it's like it's great. It's great. I,
Yeah.
I
And
I would
it's
love more stuff like this in video games.
exactly. It's like to quote one of my friends who said, I just love how into the bit the developers are. Like they're
Hmm.
just fully in on it, right?
Yeah,
So like
yeah.
once everybody started talking about like Malevolent Creek, it ended up becoming this whole meme or whatever. Then people ended up like going back, and it did actually get taken eventually because there was like another major order to go and take it. It did get taken. And then the devs were like, oh, we're announcing, Super Earth has announced like Malevolent, this is, Malevolent Creek Day. Everyone's been given a cape to commemorate the taking of the planet in game and stuff. Like
That's
because
great. Yeah.
because they're like playing back off the community in game with the stuff
Yeah.
that they're doing. Like it's freaking amazing. Like they're doing it the right way. It's so good. It's so good. And then
I bet.
obviously that springs up loads of memes as well about
Uh-huh.
us lot who've been complaining about the creekers for ages, and they get recognized by Super Earth and their own cape. It's like
Yeah, it's like
it's so much
the
fun.
devs are effectively Super Earth, basically.
Yeah. The devs are Super Earth, and then we're the community, and it's like
Or-
because they're so active in playing back off against what we're doing, like they can
Mhm.
either antagonize or like play along as they like, and it's like having it is like having a DM. Like this is the thing. It's like they're DMing this game, like a
Yeah.
huge game of not like space D&D. Like it's not quite the same, but you know what I mean. It's the
Mhm.
story is at least, and then that's what keeps people coming back. Like it's so good. It's so good. I
I
love it.
bet they love their jobs.
Yeah.
Especially Joel. What's his name? Joel? The
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
like the sort of game master guy.
Yeah.
People like meme about him constantly as well, obviously. But yeah, can you imagine being in charge of that? Like it's crazy.
Yeah. Sounds like a lot
Oh
of
man.
fun. I'm sure that all most of them, probably a lot of them enjoy their jobs and really grateful for the
So next
community.
week on Helldivers Talk, when we come back and talk about Helldivers exclusively for 2
Mhm.
hours.
I'm down.
I'm interested to hear what your experience is next week once you've got a few more hours under your belt.
Sounds good. And with that, everyone, we'll wrap it up. Thank you as always for tuning in, and we'll catch you all next week.
See you later.